victim died from multiple gunshot wounds. Up to this point, Thiesfeld has maintained his innocence and was expected to request a reasonable bond. But in court this morning, the defense announced that after obtaining some new information and meeting with the defendant and his family, they are withdrawing their request for a bond hearing at this time.
Fox's Jonathan Seri, the defense also requesting a psychiatric evaluation. Acquaintances say Thiesfeld and Kostel had dated. An arrest just reported for a killing on campus at California State University in Fullerton. Police telling the Associated Press a formal announcement will come later today, but that a suspect is now in custody for what's believed to have been a targeted attack on a former budget director for the school. He was stabbed to death in his car in a campus parking lot earlier this week. The 57-year-old had returned to work as a consultant earlier this year after retiring in 2017. An example of what not to do with scooters in Wisconsin.
3 men visiting Milwaukee from Texas were caught on Department of Transportation cams Monday on the freeway on dockless scooters, apparently following a GPS to the Harley-Davidson Museum.
I think common sense now is not as common as it used to be.
That is the most stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Reaction from people in Milwaukee. Sheriff's Office Inspector Daniel Hughes says the men weaved in and out of freeway traffic before stopping their scooters in a distress lane.
I believe they were trying to make the best decision under the circumstances, but it still was a poor decision in the first place.
The men were each ticketed over $200. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
An hour to the close on Wall Street. The Dow is up 86 points. Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. After a motorcycle and foot pursuit, Humboldt County law enforcement officers have arrested 34-year-old Bradley Bauman. Bauman was wanted by police here in Fort Dodge for multiple alleged car thefts. Tuesday afternoon, Bauman was spotted riding a motorcycle in front of a truck that had been reported stolen. The officer stopped the truck, but the motorcycle fled the scene and led officers on a chase throughout Humboldt. Reports say Bauman lost control of the bike at an intersection and collided with a house before running away on foot. Shortly after that, he was located hiding in an apartment building nearby. Bauman was taken into custody without further incident. He was then taken to a Humboldt hospital for treatment of minor injuries sustained in the accident. After being released from the hospital, he was booked into the Webster County Jail without bond for an outstanding warrant. Investigations into the pursuit and the stolen truck are still pending currently. Fort Dodge City Councilman Terry Minke was a guest on Divine's Intervention. Here's his comments about the mural being painted under the Kenyon Road Bridge here in Fort Dodge.
They did start the Pleasant Valley mural after a year of delays. We had approval of the Iowa DOT. They've never done this before. This was their first test case, yeah. This is actually going to be a mural that will be preserved. Tavantis Gully and Dana Harrison. The mural started, they kind of roughed it in. They primed it on Sunday, and then they put some initial artwork on it on Monday. Finished up. He will be back over a series of weekends to kind of finish it up, add in.
Councilman Minke was instrumental in the initiation of the project after the idea was born over a year ago. The Fort Dodge Rib Ruckus Rib and Steak Competition is going on this Saturday in downtown Fort Dodge, north side of the city square. The event will feature live music throughout the day and is part of the Rural Iowa Barbecue Society, a nonprofit organization. All proceeds they raise at the event will go into charitable contributions. Here's one of the organizers of Rib Ruckus, Tim Maple, talking about the event.
A dear friend of ours that was a barbecue enthusiast that had passed due to a massive stroke. And we were sitting around one day and decided we wanted to do something for him in his name and kind of honor him, what have you. And we decided what better way than to have a barbecue competition. And the idea was to generate some money and create a scholarship fund in his name. It'll be the Michael Moore Scholarship Fund, which will go to Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts Program.
Admission for the event's $15 per person, kids 12 and under free. Gates will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and a barbecue rib dinner will be served around 5:30 p.m. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD Weatherology forecast. Mainly clear this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 77. Northeasterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Clear skies and quiet tonight, lows level off around 53. High of 78 tomorrow, mainly sunny. Mid-70s Saturday and Sunday with a chance for scattered storms Sunday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 74.
Loffersweiler's Funeral Home understands that losing a loved one is one of the most difficult things you will ever experience. They understand that a family who has experienced the loss of a loved one needs immediate assistance that often can't wait until the next morning. Loffersweiler's is there in the darkest moment of a family's life, guiding them through the emotional roller coaster of saying goodbye. More importantly, the staff at Loffersweiler's listens and they care. Loffersweiler Funeral Home, Fort Dodge, serving families like yours since 1856.
At Fidelity, we believe nothing should come between you and your money. So we're introducing zero account fees with zero minimums to open an account. All because we want you to invest with zero trade-offs. Visit fidelity.com/value to learn more. Zero account minimums and zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Expenses charged by investments such as funds and managed accounts and for commissions, interest charges, or other expenses for transactions may still apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, member NYSE, SIPC.
Did you know when you donate items to the Keon Central, you're helping support DSOC, the local shelter for 20 North Central Iowa counties? At DSOC, we support victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, survivors of homicide, and other violent crimes. When you bring your tax-deductible donations to the Key, you support them too. The Key is always accepting clothing, shoes, furniture, kitchen items, household goods, and more. On behalf of DSOC, thank you for your donations to the Keon Central, located at 1030 Central Avenue, Fort Dodge.
If you develop non-Hodgkin lymphoma after being regularly exposed to a weed killer for at least 2 years, you may qualify for a cash award. In some weed killers, the ingredient glyphosate may be linked to an increased risk of cancer. Landscapers, farmers, city and county workers, even home gardeners or people who live near areas where weed killers are often used may be at risk. If you are exposed to a weed killer and develop non-Hodgkin lymphoma, call now. Call 800-298-2025. That's 800-298-2025.
If you don't listen to him, you suck.
He's sneaky, but he's right.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's it. That's the word for today, and congratulations. If you're listening right now, you don't suck. Your life has been worth living. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. We're here to tell the truth, make it matter, and never be boring. And joining me in that effort today is Lydia Schur from the Fort Dodge Growth Alliance. Hi, Lydia.
Hello.
I've really gotten used to seeing you pregnant.
Yeah, I've gotten used to it.
Already? Okay.
Yeah.
When is your child expected?
September 23rd.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
just over a month.
You're not that big for being 8 months then.
Well, thanks.
No,
I'll take it.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't really think you are. And you have brought a new person here with us today.
I have. This is April with Lizard Creek Ranch. They are a newer member of the Growth Alliance. So, as a member, we brought her here to talk with you about the Lizard Creek Ranch and everything that they have to offer.
Well, we welcome then April Cowell. Am I
Hello.
pronouncing your name correctly? How are you?
Yes, I'm good.
The Lizard Creek Ranch and Event Center, the old Rabner Boys Ranch. What is the Lizard Creek Ranch and Event Center?
Well, it is being converted and has been converted into a event venue and lodging accommodations. And we also have a conference center on site. And so we're kind of switching everything from what was the old cottages into accommodations.
That was quite a place out there. Are you going to use all the buildings or?
Eventually, yes, we will. We have one that is completely converted into a brand new 9-bedroom house, I would call it.
All right.
And we have another one.
So you plan on having a few children?
I have 4.
You already have 4?
Yes,
oh,
I'm
well,
done.
good for you. Okay. So
Yes.
9-bedroom house. Is this going to be something for you and your husband or?
No, this is actually part of the complex. And so the idea is that people might have their wedding reception at Timber Creek Hall.
Sure.
And then spend the night over at the cottage so they don't have to leave. Their wedding party can stay there with them.
Oh, now that would be so convenient, for the after the wedding thing.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think that's
some people
smart
like
move.
me,
Yeah.
some people don't like to drive home or
Exactly.
can't.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, that's terrific. Are you up and running now? Is your business up and running now?
Yep, we are up and running, and we are always changing. We have a cottage next door to the one that is finished that will be done spring of 2020, and that will kind of be called our bridal suite. It's going to be a bit different layout and have a soak tub and kind of a special bridal feel to it.
Are you and your husband the owners, or are you the managers, or?
Nope, I am the event coordinator.
You're the event coordinator.
Yes, and the owners, there's 3 investors, Fred Weirs, Jake Hilton, and Jason Kaler.
I don't recognize those names. They must be from out of town.
Yeah, Jason and Fred own CEC Electric.
Okay.
And then, or not Jason, I'm sorry, Jake and Fred.
Okay.
And then Jason owns Dale's Corner Store. He owns the
Yes.
laundromat next door. And
Okay.
they also own KLH properties, so they have their hands in a lot of things.
SEC Electric or SCC?
CEC.
CEC.
Yep.
Did you know about them, Lydia? I didn't know they were.
No, I think I've seen their truck or like their van or something.
Yes.
Bemrick and Baker are all over the place. You
Right.
know those two.
That's what we see a lot of.
Yeah, and Jaden Electric I see, but I guess I didn't know about them. I don't. Of course, I don't need an electrician every day, so why would I? And
Sure.
I kind of feel a little bit of loyalty to Baker and Bemrick. I mean, Bemrick's in here. In fact, he'll be Mayor Bemrick will be in here later today. So.
Okay, great guy.
So if I say I wanted to plan a wedding or a high school class reunion, at my age it'd be better a high school class reunion, I suppose. But if I wanted to plan an event, what would I do, or what could I expect?
You can contact myself through our website.
And the website is what?
It is lizardcreekranch.com.
Lizard Creek Ranch. Okay.
Yep.
.com.
We also have a Facebook page that you can private message. And all of our phone information is on Facebook as well.
Okay. Can I give your phone here? It's on this card here.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. It's 515-890-3758. Is that right?
That's right.
515-890-3758. Yeah, and you're on LinkedIn and Facebook both. And info at lizardcreekranch.com.
That's right.
So let's follow this through. So I've contacted you. What are you going to tell me?
I am going to tell you that you should probably schedule a showing so you can come out and check the place out. We have so many options for different events that I really like people to come and see space-wise what they're going to
Oh, I'm sure most people would want to do that.
Yes.
It'd be rough if you showed up out there and it was a phone booth or something. Phone booth, listen to me. How old am I? We don't have phone booths anymore.
Oh.
So, most people would want to do that.
Yeah.
So, is the event center the old gymnasium or?
Yes, the event center is the old gymnasium.
So that's a lot of room.
Yes, it seats up to 500 people. And we actually did kind of a remodel in the front. So the front actually has been renovated into a bar area where it's really nice for if you have your wedding party there that people can kind of gather there. The bar is kind of out of the way of the rest of the party.
Okay. All right. So you can host bands, all kinds of things. Or you can have a full-blown wedding with a lot of people there.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you have any other buildings that are, now you mentioned this 9-bedroom type home where people could stay. Is that up and operational right now?
Yes, the one that we have is definitely up and going. We have a birthday party coming up, actually, that they are renting it for a couple of nights to celebrate their birthday. It can be used for anything, really.
Sure.
Family reunions.
Is the big building the only building available now? I mean, if you had a smaller party, say a birthday party, maybe.
If you had a birthday party, we have the Ironwood Conference Center, and that seats up to 75. It could seat up to 100, depending on how you had seating. And that is just a beautiful room that we also have remodeled. It has hardwood floors and is just kind of that perfect spot for a birthday party, like you said, or corporate events. We actually have the school in there today doing some training. So we have a projector and some different tech capabilities.
You have training going on in there?
Yes.
Who is over there?
So actually today, the school.
Which one?
Is still on our property.
Oh, the Radnor Boys Ranch School?
It's actually not called Radnor.
Okay.
Manson actually runs the school.
Manson has
the consortium?
Yes, the consortium school. And so they start tomorrow.
School.
Yep, they start tomorrow.
Okay.
And they are having just kind of a training today over in the conference center.
So will the school stay on the grounds then?
Yes. Yep, the school is still there. No
Okay.
children live there or reside there anymore.
Oh, they don't? Okay.
No, there's no children reside there. They just attend school.
They just attend school there.
Yep.
Are they, do you know about this, Lydia? There's Lydia, ladies and gentlemen.
I know a little bit about it.
Okay, I mean, are these troubled kids? Because Radnor Boys Ranch was troubled kids.
They are kids who, like other schools will contact the consortium school to request that these children attend there if they do have behaviors in class that their current school might not have the staff to handle. So then they'll get taken to that school for the school day and then taken back home on the bus.
Come on, Lydia, you and I went to Catholic school. There's no behavior problems. There's sin. Sin! And you'll go to hell. You want me to describe hell for you? Anyway, April is our guest. April Cowell is our guest, and she and her husband have a... does your husband work there, I should say?
No.
He does not work
no,
there.
My husband works for Cargill.
Cargill?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
April is the event coordinator at the Lizard Creek Ranch and Event Center, which was the Radnor Boys Ranch. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
You are.
So, if I had a party of 20, say I just wanted to have a small group, is something available for that?
I would recommend actually one of our cottages that can
Okay.
that you wouldn't have to use for lodging. You could just use kind of the main area. It has a kitchen and a big living space, and sometimes we'll bring tables in or chairs, and that seems to work well for smaller parties like that.
Okay. All right. Well, this is interesting. Can people just drive out and see it or not?
Yes, people can
the Lizard
drive.
Creek Ranch and Event Center?
Yes, they can come out and kind of drive around and check it out from the outside. If they want to have a private tour with me, they can. We actually, on September 5th, Thursday, September 5th, we're going to have an open house.
Oh, really?
From 4 to 6.
Well, that'll be interesting.
We had a grand opening in May, and we had a great turnout, but there's been some feedback that some people just didn't get a chance to come because it was spring and a lot was going on that day. And so we are going to open it up September 5th for people to kind of just come and look around.
Suppose I had a wedding. I'm going to give you another hypothetical here. I had a wedding and I didn't want to screw around with it. I'm going to come to you and say, April, I want to do this wedding, and I want a band, and I want food, and I want drinks. I'm going to give this to you. Can you handle that?
Yes, we can.
All right.
Yes, we definitely can. We do have some.
Do you prepare food on the premises, or do you cater or have somebody cater the event?
We have people cater the event, so we don't do any food preparation. We are actually open to any caterer. We have no contingencies on who can come in and cater. We have kind of a list of people that we know, that we trust, that we know will work well and make good food. So we would recommend them, but if someone wants to bring their own food in, they're welcome to bring their own food in.
Okay, so liquor's available.
Liquor is available. That does have to be purchased through our licensed alcohol vendor, which is the Fox and the Fork. And so
The Fox and the Fork?
Yes. Yes.
That's a catering company.
Is it here in town?
Yeah, it's rather new. It's not.
Yes, the catering side of it is. It's Holly and Dan Campbell, who also own Sneakers.
All right.
They are our liquor license holder out at the ranch.
Okay.
And so let's say that you're planning your event and you're going to have alcohol. Either yourself or myself will contact them, and at no charge they'll come out with a staffed bar. And if you have any special requests,
they'll come out they'll staff the bar, the whole thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, well, that works.
Yep.
I'm learning so much today.
Yeah. That's why we
I
have
am
her
learning
here.
so much here today. Well, this is good. So April Cowell is our guest, and we're talking the Lizard Creek Ranch and Event Center, which is the old Radnor's Boys Ranch. And you can find out more by going to www.lizardcreekranch.com, or you can go to their Facebook page, LinkedIn page. The phone number is 515-890-3758. Or here's the email, info@lizardcreekranch.com. That's pretty good.
Yes.
So you made your radio debut.
Thank you.
You want to come in every morning now and do
Sure.
the show with me?
If I can say Lizard Creek Ranch, sure.
You can. I guarantee you can say it a couple times an hour. How's that? course, you're going to have me for a co-host. And that's a whole different thing, isn't it, Lydia?
No comment. No comment.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. We're going to switch over to Lydia Shore here in just a minute. We'll pick on her for a minute. Is there anything going on at the Growth Alliance that we should know about here today?
Well, it's not for a few weeks. Well, a couple weeks yet. We have another Excellence in the Workplace coming up. People can sign up.
Excellence in the Workplace?
Yes. It's a session. There's a few in a series. The one coming up is talking about mentoring and retaining staff and the importance of being a mentor and how to help retain staff and have your business grow. That's in September. And you can do some pre-registration on that through our website if you'd like. There's a brief survey to get filled out, and then it'll get talked about on that day at Excellence in the Workplace.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, this is free for Growth Alliance members?
There is a cost of $15, but it's open to the public.
$15? That's,
that's
hardly anything.
Yep, and there's you get credits for SHRM, which is like the human resources group. I'm so bad at that, but it'll help you with credits. There's some continuing education options that people can take advantage of.
So we got rid of Keaton.
Yeah, he's gone.
We deported him back to Kansas. What a bummer.
Yep, he's back at school already.
Okay.
Yes, and Skyla's back, so we just swapped one out for the other, I guess. But we're glad to have her back. So.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, what is it? The Academy. Now I just went right out of my head. The Police Academy. What is it? What am I trying to? Citizens Academy. Thank you very much, Lydia. I had it in my God. It's such a bummer being old. Citizens Academy will start in September. I'll be part of the class. Don't let that scare you. Sign up anyway at FortDodgePolice.org or their Facebook page, which is not surprisingly the Fort Dodge Police Facebook page. So do that and check out the new business in town, Lizard Creek Ranch and Event Center. April, how long have you been in business here?
It was purchased a year ago in July. I started with them in March.
You started just this last March?
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
So they've been working on it and changing the bill.
Yep. Yep. I believe that they had some weddings last summer.
They did?
A couple of them, and so it's growing every day. There's something being added all the time.
The things that happen in your own town.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Well, you need to come check it out.
Well, okay. April Crowley's been here with Lizard Creek Ranch and Event Center, and Lydia Shore with Growth Alliance. Thank you both.
Thank you.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge 226.
DTN Digital Crop Tour. Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Dorenkamp with Managing for Profit on Brownfield. Various firms are busy conducting surveys to assess the size of this year's corn and soybean crops. DTN recently partnered with Grow Intelligence to formulate yield estimates using a combination of data sets similar to what USDA uses for its August report. DTN lead market analyst Todd Holtman says while some states have yield projections close to USDA, there are 5 states that are significantly lower. More after this.
Here's farmer and landowner John Prue.
We purchased the land about 3 years ago, and there was an old farmstead on there with trees. We were going to clear the land so we could farm through it. We thought we knew where the pipe was, so we didn't call to get it located. The work on our property led to the damage of a light crude pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
DTN lead market analyst Todd Holtman says they recently conducted a digital crop tour using satellite imagery, weather data, and other public data.
Roughly half of the 10 states that we looked at were fairly close to USDA, and some like Kansas were even a little higher than USDA's estimate. But there were 5 significant states for both corn and soybeans that stood out to us as having much lower yields than what USDA estimated in August, and they are South Dakota, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio.
He tells Brownfield the digital crop tour projected a corn yield in Illinois that is way off the latest USDA forecast.
153 bushels an acre. That's down from 210 a year ago. USDA is looking for 181 in their August estimate. The real challenge will be when USDA gets into their field-based surveys in September. Does that higher estimate show up?
Holtman says USDA crop estimates shouldn't be taken too seriously until we get through August.
Every year, I consider USDA's yield estimate to be suspect until they actually get into the yield where they have field-based surveys. And typically in past years, that's the first yield field-based survey has happened in August. But this year, USDA changed their procedure, and that first entrance into the field is not going to happen until September. So I think it's fair game to be suspicious of the August estimate, just as I would be suspicious of a June or July estimate in any other year.
But Holtman cuts USDA some slack by pointing out this year's projections will be especially hard with the challenges of spring planting.
They come up and say 90 million planted acres, but they drop the harvested acres estimate to 82 million. So it seems to me like what USDA did is they tried to somewhat save face a little bit with a 90 million acre planting estimate, but the big question is what kind of quality are those 90 million acres? And the fact that they dropped the harvested acres down to 82 is some acknowledgement on their part that the planting situation was worse than what they estimated after the June report.
DTN's digital crop tour is forecasting a national average corn yield of 163.2 and 44.2 bushels per acre for soybeans. I'm Mark Dorenkamp with Managing for Profit on Brownfield.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. After a motorcycle and foot pursuit, Humboldt County law enforcement officers have arrested 34-year-old Bradley Bauman. Bauman was wanted by police here in Fort Dodge for multiple alleged car thefts. Tuesday afternoon, Bauman was spotted riding a motorcycle in front of a truck that had been reported stolen. The officer stopped the truck, but the motorcycle fled the scene and led officers on a chase throughout Humboldt. Reports say Bauman lost control of the bike at an intersection and collided with a house before running away on foot. Shortly after that, he was located hiding in an apartment building nearby. Bauman was taken into custody without further incident. He was then taken to a Humboldt hospital for treatment of minor injuries sustained in the accident. After being released from the hospital, he was booked into the Webster County Jail without bond for an outstanding warrant. Investigations into the pursuit and the stolen truck are still pending currently. Fort Dodge City Councilman Terry Minke was a guest on Divine's Intervention. Here's his comments about the mural being painted under the Kenyon Road Bridge here in Fort Dodge.
They did start the Pleasant Valley mural after a year of delays. We had approval of the Iowa DOT. They've never done this before. This was their first test case, yeah. This is actually going to be a mural that will be preserved. Tavantis Gully and Dana Harrison. The mural started, they kind of roughed it in. They primed it on Sunday, and then they put some initial artwork on it on Monday. finished up. He will be back over a series of weekends to kind of finish it up, add in.
Councilman Minke was instrumental in the initiation of the project after the idea was born over a year ago. The Fort Dodge Rib Ruckus Rib and Steak Competition is going on this Saturday in downtown Fort Dodge, north side of the city square. The event will feature live music throughout the day and is part of the Rural Iowa Barbecue Society, a nonprofit organization. All proceeds they raise at the event will go into charitable contributions. Here's one of the organizers of Rib Ruckus, Tim Maple, talking about the event.
A dear friend of ours that was a barbecue enthusiast that had passed due to a massive stroke. And we were sitting around one day and decided we wanted to do something for him in his name and kind of honor him, what have you. And we decided what better way than to have a barbecue competition. And the idea was to generate some money and create a scholarship fund in his name. It'll be the Michael Moore Scholarship Fund, which will go to Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts Program.
Admission for the event's $15 per person, kids 12 and under free. Gates will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and a barbecue rib dinner will be served around 5:30 p.m. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, 2:34, 26 minutes before 3 o'clock. And the weather forecast, sunny today, high 77. It's beautiful and 75 right now. Overnight clear with a low of 53. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 78. Saturday, sunny with a high of 76. Sunday, there's a chance of a thunderstorm. Otherwise, mostly cloudy with a high of 76. On Monday, showers and thunderstorms are likely, mainly between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Sunny other than that with a high of 79. On Tuesday, it'll be sunny with a high of 76. On Wednesday, it'll be sunny with a high of 73. Right now, again, just gorgeous 75 degrees in Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Bruce Messerly has died at the age of 75. Mr. Messerly died August 20th at the Paula J. Baber Hospice Home. There will be a visitation for Bruce Messerly, and that'll be from starting at 9 o'clock this Saturday until the funeral service at 10, and that's at the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church. Bruce Messerly has died. He worked for 32 years at Hormel's here in Fort Dodge. Carl E. Brown has passed away. Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services handling the arrangements. Again, these obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Beautiful day, 75 degrees at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. 2:36 with a look at the closing market report. Here's Dwayne Murley.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up 3/4 cent to end the day at 3.63 1/4. December up 3/4 at 3.71. March up a half a penny at 3.83. May up a half a cent at 3.90 3/4. September soybeans down 4 1/2 at 8.56. November down 4 1/4 at 8.68 3/4. January beans down 4 1/4 at 8.82 1/2. March down 4 3/4 at 8.95 1/2. September wheat up 4 3/4 at 4.67 1/4. Soybean meal down $1 a ton at 2.93.70. August live cattle up 2.30 at 104.97. October up 87 cents at 101.10. August feeders up 102 at 138.40. September up 112 at 136.42. October lean hogs down $1 at 62.30. Geese down 112 at 61.55. February down $1 1/4 at 68.57. I'm Dwayne Murley.
In a world where the open road is everyone's terrain,
hey Randy, everybody's here. Let's go.
a special group of people are asking one question.
Hey, do you think they see us?
Coming soon to a mirror near you. Motorcycles.
the Severe Weather Advisor. Brought to you by Creative Signs and Graphics Fort Dodge. For signs, decals, vehicle graphics, magnets, logos, customized documents, and more. If your business needs it, Creative Signs and Graphics can make it. And A Stitch Above the Rest Embroidery, Fort Dodge. Step out in style with quality brands, timely turnaround, and professional service. A Stitch Above the Rest. Embroidery professionals worth finding. Remember, when severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on KVFD.
This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Don. I'm Michael Devine. We're going to tell the truth, make it matter, and we're never going to be boring. Joining me today once again in that effort is the Big O himself, David Osterberg of the Iowa Policy Project. How you doing, David?
I'm doing well.
Are you doing well?
Yeah.
You sound like you're far away, even farther away than you usually do. You're down. Well, here's the problem. We're having cockpit problems in the KVFD studio here today. I should really turn your microphone on if I want you to be heard. Sorry. So the Big O is David Osterberg, not Oscar Robertson of the basketball fame. You're old enough to remember Oscar Robertson. Were you a basketball fan?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
He played for Cincinnati. I don't even remember the last. Gosh, what was the Cincinnati team name now? I don't even remember. The Big O, Oscar Robertson. Oh, gosh.
And he's kind of a sweet guy, too.
I can't attest to that, but he sure could play ball. I don't know one way or the other, but yeah, he was a great, great basketball player around 1960 in there somewhere. The reason we remember him in Fort Dodge as a well-known Fort Dodge man, Floyd Messerly, who since passed away, was an official at the college level in a very important game, and Oscar Robertson stepped out of bounds, and it was one of those things, key moment in the game, where nobody saw it but the official. And Floyd stood up and made the right call. They checked photographs after the game, and absolutely, Oscar had stepped out of bounds. But at the time, the crowd was not on Floyd's side. So, David Osterberg, of course, is with the Iowa Policy Project, a group in Iowa City dedicated to research-backed information they hope will affect public policy, and that's what we're doing on the air today. We continue to try to bring the truth, whether we want to hear it or not, and that's a problem as well. Sometimes we just don't want to hear it. We
do, and sometimes it's hard to find the truth. I'm working on a paper right now on wind power in Iowa. Mm-hmm. You know, we're one of the leaders, and went to a very good source, this American Wind Energy Association.
Yeah.
They're the ones that say Iowa's either first or second in the percentage of electricity we produce as a total.
Right.
We're certainly number 2. We're above Oklahoma, so we're certainly in good shape. But then I find when they do the statistics for North Dakota, they were just way off. So I'm trying to get the right data, but telling the truth needs to have organizations you can trust, and sometimes they mess up.
Because there are merchants of doubt out there.
There are lots. This is not one of the merchants, and so they just somebody made a mistake, and I'm trying to figure out how to make them not make a mistake. They don't want to make them either.
No. Oscar Robertson, by the way, I thought it was the Cincinnati Royals he played for, but it didn't sound right in my head. For some reason, I didn't mention it, but it was in fact the Cincinnati Royals. He's 80 years old now. I don't know how much dribbling he's doing anymore. But.
No. I think didn't he play for Cincinnati the college at the college level?
Could have. He very well could have. I
think that may be where the Cincinnati's coming up.
Well, that very well could be. I suppose I should talk with you about the wind problem here.
I guess we could sit and I remember all kinds of old basketball players. We could do that for a while.
That works for me too. I talk sports tomorrow with a couple of sports experts. Actually, I don't think they know half as much as I do. But
Elgin Baylor, remember Elgin Baylor?
Oh, Elgin Baylor. Now you're talking. Yeah, Elgin.
San
Baylor.
Francisco.
Yeah, that's right. Elgin Baylor. Wow. I understand. First of all, you're going to tell me that Kansas has taken Iowa's place in some way, and I'm going to have to tell you there's no such place as Kansas. There's only southern Nebraska.
Right, that's like every Nebraska joke, probably, huh?
I suppose so. I suppose.
No, Kansas pretty good in wind, and they might have a higher percentage than we do because they're a little smaller. That's the question. You know, we could certainly get displaced by a small state who just goes ahead and produces a little more wind, and all of a sudden Iowa can no longer have all that bragging rights.
Really? How'd this happen?
Well, it's right now. I mean, first of all, when you look at wind power and where it's produced, there's this wind zone right down the middle of the country. That's why Texas has so much wind. But it's also North Dakota and South Dakota and Kansas and us. We're all in that wind zone. And that's why. I mean, we produce a lot. It's a combination. First of all, there's good places to produce wind, but there's also good policy. And remember, Iowa's policy goes back to 1983, when we were the first state in the nation to say to our big investor-owned utilities, you got to try some renewable energy. You got to try it. Stop not doing it. And they were really angry. They fought it and fought it and fought it, but finally they decided to go ahead. And when they did, they found out Mid-American, especially, they could make a lot of money on it. And so Mid-American is close now to 50% of all of its native load covered by wind.
Really?
Really, 50%. Now, I mean, again, this is when I brag about Mid-American before I start saying what a terrible company they are towards solar.
You're really conflicted about Mid-America. I
am, no kidding, but they're great on wind. There's just no two ways of looking at that.
One week I have you on here and you're praising Mid-America. The next week they suck.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's hard. Well, that's getting back to the truth and following the data, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Speaking of sucking, there's that old joke in people tell in Minnesota, why do all the trees in Minnesota bend to the south? Because Iowa sucks.
Sucks, exactly.
I really take offense at that.
And the IQ thing about the bottom series of counties in Minnesota, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like we need to go a little bit far north of Minneapolis to run into the Bob and Doug and a lot of other guys who ice fish their whole life away. Anyway, I don't want to get into the whole Iowa-Minnesota war here. But so again, what happened here that Iowa's is changing places with Kansas in the.
And this is as a percentage. We still have a lot more wind capacity than they do, but. Mm-hmm. They're a smaller state, so they can catch up on us. Not that much smaller, but a little smaller.
I was going to say that would be. I would be surprised to know that land-wise, Kansas is a little smaller than.
No, it's population. Based on population, just a little bit smaller.
Kansas has a lesser population than Iowa.
I think it's 3.1 million in Iowa, 2.9 in Kansas.
Well, we got a lot more hogs, I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, we do indeed. And, Kansas, the other thing about Kansas, one of only two states to have less land in parks and hunting areas and places like that people can recreate. Kansas, a little bit worse than Iowa.
Really?
Yeah.
By the way, Oscar Robertson played for the University of Cincinnati Bearcats.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Then he went on to play professional ball for the Cincinnati Royals. As a matter of fact, there were a lot of racist incidents in his career, which reminds us that that hasn't been that long ago since Oscar Robertson's still walking around. Anyway, yeah, wind energy is what we're talking about with David Osterberg, who's into renewables. You know, one of these days, I want you to do the farmers of Iowa a favor because they're pretty upset about this RINs thing that Donald Trump just blew off on them. He gave Donald Trump, after saying in June that he would crack down on the abuse in waivers given to the RINs numbers, which are numbers. It's a factor that demands that these big oil refiners process so much ethanol. but they can get out of it if they have problems making enough money and these sorts of things. Well, President Trump in June pledged to crack down on those abuses in the RINs waivers. Then he turned right around earlier this week and gave waivers to some of the biggest companies in the country. The farmers are, a little worked up about that.
Well, I guess so. And back to data. He's not truthful. I'm sorry. He just doesn't tell the truth.
What? Donald Trump doesn't tell the truth? David, really?
Really? Am I the first person to say that?
Oh, God, we're in bizarro land, I tell you. We're just bizarro land.
But anyway, one of the other reasons I wanted to do a paper on wind, here's another interesting statistic. If you look back when we started the wind industry back in 1999, that's when there was a big Storm Lake and Clear Lake, around both of those places they put in large wind farms, first ones in Iowa. Now you go forward, which is now it would be 20 years, but the data only goes to 17. You find that even though we did all this wind, our rates didn't go crazy like Dick Cheney said they would. We didn't get punished by having a lot cleaner electricity. And in fact, if you look at change everything into 2015 dollars, and I just did that, the price of electricity, the cost of electricity to the residential and the industrial and commercial consumers in Iowa, exactly the same in 2017 as it was in 1999. Exactly the same.
Exactly.
And you can't, exactly, and it's odd. That's why I want to put it out, because, Alliant raised rates in 2018, and they're trying to raise them again. So this is the last time I'm going to be able to say that, but I want to say it while I can.
All right.
And be truthful. And be truthful.
Well, that would be refreshing.
But that's pretty amazing. Most people don't think that or realize that. And residential customers in Iowa pay quite a bit, but we give pretty good deals to industry here in this state.
We do?
Yeah, we do.
Do you think we pay more than we should be paying for electricity?
It could be better distributed. But on the other hand, if industry gets lower rates, maybe they employ more people. That's the argument, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the question really is, and that's why you need a utilities board. What is really the right price? If you use a whole bunch of power, maybe you ought to get a break on it, unless if you're using it right in the middle of the day when that hurts everybody. But to the extent that you're using a lot of power and you're using it off-peak, boy, you ought to have a deal. That's for sure.
I think so. Absolutely. You're not catching me on a good day here. I'm a little taken back by Donald Trump's assertion that he is the one that the people of Israel have been waiting for. And
the king of Israel, wasn't
I'm
it?
just, and I'm sorry. I just when we start talking about truth, I enter some sort of different world today. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think he just tweeted some other crazy person who said that. So he didn't say it himself.
Oh, he didn't say it himself. Well, that's refreshing.
That is a little refreshing, yes.
So
but
crazy
he sure
person.
liked it.
So a crazy person tweets, and it goes around the world, and a lot of people like me misunderstood. That's the world. That's the world we're in, huh?
That is the world we're in, and there's way too much of this tweeting stuff. Taking the time to find out what is true is certainly worth it. This would be a better country if we did it all the time.
Yes, it would. And being human beings, we have a tendency to believe what we want to believe, what is comfortable to believe. I fight it myself all the time, frankly.
Right.
There's so much appeal to emotion going on right now. I've never seen anything like it, really, where our emotions are twisted and manipulated to motivate us to vote or to hate this guy or this woman or whatever. It's I'm not staying on topic here with you today, David. I know that's not new, but
it's not new.
It's not new, hardly, but it's just got me in a weird place here.
Yeah, well, I mean, the other thing is that I suppose all of us have biases, and when we see something that fits our bias, we kind of want to go look at that.
Sure we do.
That's the other thing we do. And it may be totally unrepresentative of what's really going on. And that's what happens. And in fact, some news organizations out there tend to do that. So you find somebody who we don't like, maybe he's has an Arab-sounding name, commits a crime, so it's all over some kinds of news services. But it may be totally unrepresentative of who really commits crime.
That's true.
That's the other thing. So it's playing on our biases with things that aren't lies, but they're just unrepresentative of what really goes on. And that's another problem with us learning enough.
Yes,
and knowing
it is.
enough.
It is, especially when it comes to the environment. I don't know if Al Gore was the best spokesman in the world for
climate change and everything.
Climate change and those sorts of things. There have been incidents where people who are trying to warn us about climate change have said things that turned out to be not true, like Al Gore.
Yeah, well, there is not much doubt what's going on. I mean, again, you have to look to find data you trust, and one of the places most people trust is NASA. They're the guys that actually get people to the moon and bring them back alive, right?
Absolutely.
And NASA, because Earth is one of the planets in the solar system, have always had a program on Earth. They've just said that the hottest July ever recorded, since we've been recording this kind of stuff, was the last one we just finished. The hottest years since we've been able to measure, and again, we've only been able to measure since maybe the 1880s, all of them have happened in the last 5 years. There's something going on. The Earth is warming up, and it is coming about because of the greenhouse gases we're putting in the atmosphere. The fact that there's coal-fired power plants, they're especially the bad ones. They put a lot of CO2 when they make electricity. That's why I like Mid-American doing more with wind, because it doesn't happen that same way.
There seems to be, Jay Inslee, for example, of your old home state, Washington, was in the presidential race because of climate change. Now he just dropped out because nobody knew who Jay Inslee was. But Inslee and others act as if the United States doesn't act on climate change immediately, the world's going to end. Now,
well, that may be a little exaggeration.
That's a little bit of an exaggeration.
If we don't act soon, we are in real trouble, and the faster we act, the better.
What if we act and the rest of the world doesn't?
That's right, but the rest of the world's not doing that bad. I mean, you find solar power kicking off in India, for instance, which is one of the problem places in the world. And if the United States also, we used to lead the world. Remember people when they liked us back not that long ago? We could certainly influence others to move in the same direction. And because we have this technological advance on most countries, we could make that solar power, all the stuff that we've learned in wind and solar, make it available to people who don't want to go through the same process. Really, the United States acting is not going to be the United States alone. It's going to be us being a leader in the rest of the world and pushing everybody in that same direction.
Well, that's what Barack Obama used to say. He continued to believe that the United States could lead the way in climate change. And though Donald Trump hasn't helped anything, I really don't think the rest of the world loved us as much as Barack Obama would imply. I mean, the rest of the world is going to act in their own interest. And,
they are. And so you need to also make it cheaper. But remember, which part of the world has the most wind power is China.
Right.
Which part of the wind world has the most solar? Also China. So China certainly has putting out more CO2 than anybody but us, but they're getting after it more than we are.
Well, I hope so. I mean, China and India were always pointed to as a couple of places that used, as India especially, dense coal.
Yeah,
the type
right.
of coal they had there and that they burned was really black.
Yeah.
And a lot of people pointed to them. David, I'm sorry for my more than usual rambling discourse today. I'm just a little freaked out by the whole Trump is the one that we're waiting for thing.
Yeah, no, King of Israel, my
King
God.
of Israel. David Osterberg's been our guest with the Iowa Policy Project. Thank you, David.
Hey, bye, Mike.
All right, bye-bye. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I said this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
When is a notebook more than a notebook? When it takes me from creative writing
to traveling the world to report my next story. Staples is your back-to-school destination. Find all the supplies and inspiration you need. Staying organized is the key to a successful school year. Come in store this week and get Staples Standard View 1-inch 3-ring binders, just $1.92 each. Staples, back to school and beyond. In-store only. Offer ends 8/31/19 while supplies last.
Hi, I'm Jamie Brundage, owner of Historic Bruce Funeral Home. When you're planning the memorialization of your loved one, you're telling their story and sharing special memories with your family and friends. At Historic Bruce Funeral Home, we're proud to help you celebrate the life of your loved one, and we're here to guide you with your selections as we help you and your family say goodbye in a way that's right for you. Our staff is committed to compassionate care and attention to detail. Historic Bruce Funeral Home, Fort Dodge. Online at brucesfuneralhome.com.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Thanks again to David Osterberg for being with us today. What a gorgeous day. Still 75 degrees. We may get to 77. The news is next. You are listening to AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
From tuning an engine to replacing a fuse, you can learn it all under the hood. Heard every Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
Russia and China call out the U.S. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. An emergency meeting of the UN Security Council underway after Moscow and Beijing took issue with a U.S. missile test last weekend. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, the Russian Federation Representative D.A. Polyansky, through an interpreter, expressed their concerns, along with China's, about the missile test and how it appears.
Because of the U.S.'s geopolitical ambitions, we are all one step from an arms race that cannot be controlled or regulated in any way.
Acting UN Ambassador Jonathan Cohen said the U.S. is protecting itself as the Cold War Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty ends.
They're a prudent response to ensuring the United States has the capabilities to defend our interests in the post-INF treaty world that Russia created.
Cohen says the U.S. stands by its testing and preparation, Lisa.
Thanks, Gernal. The U.S. pulled out of that treaty after accusing Russia of long-standing violations. Meantime, Iran's president saying in a speech today that when enemies
and our innocent people.
Through a translator there, Fox's Rich Edson at the White House.
Administration officials say they are intensifying their pressure campaign against Iran, trying to compel its leaders to negotiate with the United States. President Hassan Rouhani of Iran has so far rejected that and says it's the United States that threatens his country.
Rouhani today calling talks useless. European countries, still part of the Iran nuclear deal, are trying to hold that agreement together after the U.S. withdrawal from that last year. A mixed finish overall on Wall Street. The Dow up 51 points, but the S&P and the NASDAQ finishing lower. America is listening to Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home of your dreams. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
6 days since 2 firefighters went missing on a boat off the Florida coast. Coast Guard Captain Mark Vaughn says the search for them will be suspended at sundown today.
Our computer modeling and our ability to search in a given location are no longer allowing us to search with any reasonable degree or probability of success.
The search had been expanded to about 100,000 square miles. The only thing found was a tackle bag on Monday. Former movie producer Harvey Weinstein indicted again, this time accused of raping Sopranos actress Annabella Sciorra in 1993. The indictment allows her to testify at his upcoming sexual assault trial, which a judge had previously ruled against. Weinstein's attorneys call the prosecution desperate, noting that he's now set for a 4th arraignment on Monday. San Francisco having trouble cleaning up the streets lately, approves a different kind of cleanup.
If you sanitize the language, maybe you'll sanitize people's thinking about the problem. Thus, new rules from the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. No more convicted felons, just a formerly incarcerated person or a justice-involved person. No recidivists, just a returning resident. No more juvenile delinquents, but a young person impacted by the juvenile justice system. No more addicts or drug abusers, just a person with a history of substance abuse. Supervisor Matt Haney says we don't want people to be forever labeled for the worst things they've ever done, like a scarlet letter. San Francisco Chronicle notes crime victims could now be called a person who's come in contact with a returning resident who was involved with the justice system and who is currently under supervision with a history of substance use. Therese Crowley, Fox News.
However, that vote is non-binding. A team effort to dial down robocalls. State attorneys general from all 50 states and D.C. announcing an agreement with the 12 major phone companies to offer call blocking tools for free and to work on additional steps. Some of this echoing the steps already taken by federal regulators and Congress. Mr. Brady, this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD news update, I'm Rob Jones. After a motorcycle and foot pursuit, Humboldt County law enforcement officers have arrested 34-year-old Bradley Bauman. Bauman was wanted by police here in Fort Dodge for multiple alleged car thefts. Tuesday afternoon, Bauman was spotted riding a motorcycle in front of a truck that had been reported stolen. The officer stopped the truck, but the motorcycle fled the scene and led officers on a chase throughout Humboldt. Reports say Bauman lost control of the bike at an intersection and collided with a house before running away on foot. Shortly after that, he was located hiding in an apartment building nearby. Bauman was taken into custody without further incident. He was then taken to a Humboldt hospital for treatment of minor injuries sustained in the accident. After being released from the hospital, he was booked into the Webster County Jail without bond for an outstanding warrant. Investigations into the pursuit and the stolen truck are still pending currently. Fort Dodge City Councilman Terry Minke was a guest on Divine's Intervention. Here's his comments about the mural being painted under the Kenyon Road Bridge here in Fort Dodge.
They did start the Pleasant Valley mural after a year of delays. We had approval of the Iowa DOT. They've never done this before. This was their first test case, yeah. This is actually going to be a mural that will be preserved. Tavantis Gully and Dana Harrison. The mural started, they kind of roughed it in. They primed it on Sunday, and then they put some initial artwork on it on Monday. Finished up. He will be back over a series of weekends to kind of finish it up, add in.
Councilman Minke was instrumental in the initiation of the project after the idea was born over a year ago. The Fort Dodge Rib Ruckus Rib and Steak Competition is going on this Saturday in downtown Fort Dodge, north side of the city square. The event will feature live music throughout the day and is part of the Rural Iowa Barbecue Society, a nonprofit organization. All proceeds they raise at the event will go into charitable contributions. Here's one of the organizers of Rib Ruckus, Tim Maple, talking about the event.
A dear friend of ours that was a barbecue enthusiast that had passed due to a massive stroke. And we were sitting around one day and decided we wanted to do something for him in his name and kind of honor him, what have you. And we decided what better way than to have a barbecue competition. And the idea was to generate some money and create a scholarship fund in his name. It'll be the Michael Moore Scholarship Fund, which will go to Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts Program.
Admission for the event's $15 per person, kids 12 and under free. Gates will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and a barbecue rib dinner will be served around 5:30 p.m. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Mainly clear this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 77. Northeasterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Clear skies and quiet tonight, lows level off around 53. High of 78 tomorrow, mainly sunny. Mid-70s Saturday and Sunday with a chance for scattered storms Sunday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 75.
Have the talk of the lifetime with the ones you love and make the difference of a lifetime.
Grandma, this card asks, what's your favorite family tradition?
Christmas would be my favorite. You know how we use the special tablecloth and all the fancy dishes?
And those cookies you always make.
Should we whip up a batch and bake some together now?
Sharing stories and memories with those who matter most isn't just important today, it will be especially significant when it's time to honor a life lived. Contact Gunderson Funeral Home to learn more about having the talk of a lifetime.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor. Brought to you by Creative Signs and Graphics Fort Dodge. For signs, decals, vehicle graphics, magnets, logos, customized documents, and more. If your business needs it, Creative Signs and Graphics can make it. And a stitch above the rest embroidery, Fort Dodge. Step out in style with quality brands, timely turnaround, and professional service. A stitch above the rest. Embroidery professionals worth finding. Remember, when severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on KVFD.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
That's right, I get 60 rounds of freedom at all times here. Michael Devine, AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. What a great day. What a great day. Just an absolute beautiful day to kind of keep that thought moving forward in a positive way, which is something I don't do often on this program because from where I sit, the world's always going to hell. But I have a couple of wristbands here for the Rib Ruckus coming up this weekend. The Rib Ruckus, and these bands will get you in and will get you fed. I think they're worth about $15 a piece. And I have 2 of them right here that I'll give to the 5th caller who rings up 515-955-1400. That's 955 1400, the KVFD number for years and years and years. Yeah, the Rib Ruckus barbecue on Saturday. It's a admission bracelet. I got 2 of them. You are the winner. You're the 5th caller. So who am I speaking with?
Troy.
Troy who?
Anderson.
Troy Anderson?
Yep.
Where you live, Troy?
Fort Dodge.
Okay, Troy. You need to get here today by 4 o'clock or by tomorrow by 4 o'clock to pick up your 2 bands, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, you bet. Troy Anderson, did you say?
Yep.
All right, I got you, buddy. We'll see you later, huh?
I'll head there right now, so.
All right, man. Take care.
Yep, thanks.
Bye. All right, there's Troy Anderson, 2 bands. 2 bands to the Rib Ruckus this weekend. Okay. Yeah. Ribs barbecue on Saturday. Entrance admission. Yeah, all right. Pretty sure that's what this is for. We'll certainly find out pretty quick. Anyway, I got 2 more here. So, again, the 5th caller will win 2 bracelets to the Rib Ruckus this weekend. That's 515-955-1400, 515-955-1400. Be the 5th caller. You'll win 2 bands. This is $30 worth here. So, by all means, 515-955-1400. Be the 5th caller. 515-955-1400. And we'll get you a couple of bands to go to the barbecue thing this weekend, which should be a pretty good deal. It's entrance, admission, bracelets, the whole thing. So we already had Troy Anderson win a couple. So he's getting in. without a problem, with no money spent, and he'll have some great pork this weekend, by the way. All right, let's go to the phones one more time here. Who am I speaking with?
Gary Erickson.
Gary Erickson?
Yeah.
Where are you from, Gary?
Fort Dodge.
FD, huh?
Yep.
Where are you listening from? You home or at work, or where you at?
At home.
All right. Well, you have to get here before 4 o'clock today to pick up these wristbands, or before 4 o'clock tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
Can you do it?
I can do it.
All right. Thanks, man. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
All right. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Yeah, that's Gary Erickson. It's my pleasure to give him those on behalf of Greg Hora and the pork producers. I tell you what, I think I got some more. Yeah, I do. I got two more. So 515-955-1400. 515-955-1400. I got two more wristbands for the rib thing. Now, you cannot have won anything from us in the last, 30 days, but I never give away tickets anyway, so that shouldn't be a problem. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon. Who am I talking to?
Win Tooney.
How are you, Win?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm glad I'm listening to you. Thank you.
Yes. And you live in Fort Dodge, of course.
Yes.
Are you going to go yourself, Win, or what are you going to do?
I'll find someone to go with me.
Okay, well, that's terrific. Win, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask who you're looking at for president this year. As long as I get... Oh, come on, you're not shy.
Well, long time, I'm voting for Trump.
You're going to go for Trump?
Yes.
Well, I didn't think you'd probably be going for a Democrat, I can tell you that. Are you still as active in politics as you once were? I really don't see you around much anymore.
Well, I've been kind of pulling back, but I'm still interested.
Okay. Yeah, you probably heard what I told the other guys. Come on down here before 4 today or before 4 tomorrow and pick up your wristbands.
I'll be down there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. We certainly know Win. Been around a long time, and I'm glad that she won a couple of tickets. So there we go. We got to do something about broadband in our town, and I hope that our town can be convinced to take control of broadband. By that I mean to develop our own way of producing our own broadband. I don't think the private sector is something we ought to enter. I think Fort Dodge ought to get in the business of broadband. Mediacom, I know, has struggles to cover Fort Dodge. I live 2 blocks north of here, and I'm having all kinds of problems. And I've had them all, by the way. I've had Direct, I've had Dish, and they're all about the same price, and they all have about the same service. I think we can do better. So pay attention to this issue. Don't freak out. I know there's people on fixed incomes, and I know there's been a lot of little incremental taxes here off and on for the last few years, and nobody likes those sort of things. But for our town to grow, I think we have to have this. For crying out loud, I mean, Gowrie and Webster Calhoun Telephone, they have so much better broadband services than we do because they own theirs. They have better coverage. So please pay attention to this issue. Educate yourself about it. I'll try to educate myself as well. I've had David Ferrick in here to talk about it a couple times. By the way, Mayor Bemrick will be here this afternoon. He'll be a little late. 4 o'clock is usually his time. He might make it in time, but it wouldn't surprise me if he were a little late. And we'll talk with Mayor Bemrick about broadband as well. And I'm glad to see Jason Slinker, who is with the Recycling Center. He's been on here a couple of times with me talking about what is and what is not recyclable material. And to be honest with you, I still don't have it down. We need to continue to educate ourselves there. The world just changes too fast for old people. And I'm an older person. Gosh, I thought I had this recycling thing down for so long. Now the world has changed again. And the world has changed again is because China stops taking our junk. It goes to Lamar's now. And I guess we gotta put up with that. Yeah. But I'll have Jason in here again in the future, or Brett Daniel, Director of Public Works, And I do believe that repetition is the mother of learning. I think any teacher will tell you that. And we'll get this thing figured out. I don't get the whole thing in the paper this morning. Hi, how you doing? Come on, what do you need there, Janet? Come in. Boy, he said he was coming right down. He really came right down. And Janet's here. Step up, Janet. Yeah, Janet is works here. What is your job here, Janet?
I'm a receptionist.
Receptionist, and you're a Fort Dodge girl.
Yes, I am.
Where did you go? Senior high?
Yeah.
All right. What year did you graduate?
Do I have to say?
Yeah, well, it was after me. I could be your father.
83.
Oh, I couldn't either.
See, I look young, I guess.
Here, that's right. You do look fine. Well, it's a pleasure to have you in the studio. Have you ever been on the radio before?
No.
Or you want to sit down here? I'll make you star.
All
Go ahead there. Here. Now, I had other winners. Congratulations to Troy Anderson, who's probably here.
Okay.
Troy's here. Gary Erickson and Wynn Turney.
Uh-huh.
They all won 2 of these, which gets them into the barbecue deal.
Okay, all right.
The Rib Ruckus.
Cool.
You going to the Rib Ruckus?
I want to. I just don't know if I can get free tickets. I'll go.
Oh, listen to this. Listen to Stop pandering. Well, I don't know, Mike. If you're giving away free tickets to everybody else, but not to me.
Well, it's my anniversary, so maybe that's.
Oh, listen to this. Listen. Oh, this is a serious guilt trip here. All right. Here's 2 more.
Oh, you're the best.
No, I know I am. How many years you been married?
Half of my life, 27 years.
27 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
What's your husband do?
He works at Force America.
Does he?
Yeah, he's in the office. Not sure what he does for sure. He brings
well,
home a
roll
paycheck.
over some night and ask him, by the way, what do you do and who are you anyway? It's always good to know who's in bed next to you and what they're up to.
True. He's worked there a long time, so I don't know.
Boy, you've been here a long time. What's your name again? I understand you be married a while. Stuff just kind of happens. I got you. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mike,
Did
so
your
much.
husband listen to this station?
I think so.
Well, he's a good man then.
Yes, he's listened to you forever.
Has he really?
Uh-huh.
Well, see, that's a sign that you married a very bright guy.
Yeah.
So if you rolled over tonight and asked him who he was and what the hell he was doing, he'd probably be able to tell you.
I hope so.
What's his name?
Mike.
Well, see, there. All people named Mike are exceptional men. All people named Mike are exceptional men.
Right.
There you go. Mike Tyson, Mike Devine, Mike Greavy.
Grieve.
Grieve, that's
Yeah,
right.
you're
What did I say?
Greavy.
Oh, I was thinking gravy. I'm sorry.
I know you used to call him Gravy, Mike Gravy.
Did you? I suppose. I just usually have gravy on the mind. All right, Janet, thank you very much, and thanks to everybody who called in. Wait a minute. As long as you're here, we're going to give away these last 2.
Okay.
All right, so you might as well take them all. If you call now, 515-955-1400, you'll get 2 wristbands that'll get you into the barbecue rib thing this weekend. 515-955-1400. Call now. Somebody called. And your name is what? Hello.
Gary Vogt.
What's your name?
Gary Vogt.
Gary Vogt. What do you know, Gary?
Oh, just delivering feed.
Delivering? Well, who are you delivering feed to? The Greavy house? No. No. Okay.
No.
A bunch of hungry hogs, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you must like pork then.
Yes, I do.
All right. You from Fort Dodge? Where are you from?
Gowrie.
Gowrie. Is your last name spelled V-O-T-E?
B-O-U-G-H-T.
All right. B-O-U-G-H-T. You're going to get tricky on me, Gary. All right. So, you know where the studio is, right? 200 North 10th Street. Come in on the west side.
Yeah.
All right. Roll in here before 4 today or before 4 tomorrow, okay? You get your tickets.
Can I have my daughter pick them up?
What's your daughter's name?
Ashley.
Ashley Vogt?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
That'd be great.
All right. Thanks a lot, Gary. Thanks for listening.
All right, thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Well, there's a working man out there. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, Janet. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And did you get them all now?
Yep, got them all.
All right,
Thank
got
you
them
for
all.
mine.
That's quite all right. Well, that was terrific. It's 322 AM 1400 KVFD.
DTN Digital Crop Tour. Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Dorenkamp with Managing for Profit on Brownfield. Various firms are busy conducting surveys to assess the size of this year's corn and soybean crops. DTN recently partnered with Grow Intelligence to formulate yield estimates using a combination of data sets similar to what USDA uses for its August report. DTN lead market analyst Todd Holtman says while some states have yield projections close to USDA, there are 5 states that are significantly lower. More after this.
Here's farmer and landowner John Prue.
We purchased the land about 3 years ago, and there was an old farmstead on there with trees. We were going to clear the land so we could farm through it. We thought we knew where the pipe was, so we didn't call to get it located. The work on our property led to the damage of a light crude pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety Campaign.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
DTN lead market analyst Todd Holtman says they recently conducted a digital crop tour using satellite imagery, weather data, and other public data.
Roughly half of the 10 states that we looked at were fairly close to USDA, and some like Kansas were even a little higher than USDA's estimate. But there were 5 significant states for both corn and soybeans that stood out to us as having much lower yields than what USDA estimated in August, and they are South Dakota, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio.
He tells Brownfield the digital crop tour projected a corn yield in Illinois that is way off the latest USDA forecast.
153 bushels an acre. That's down from 210 a year ago. USDA is looking for 181 in their August estimate. The real challenge will be when USDA gets into their field-based surveys in September. Does that higher estimate show up?
Holtman says USDA crop estimates shouldn't be taken too seriously until we get through August.
Every year, I consider USDA's yield estimate to be suspect until they actually get into the yield where they have field-based surveys. And typically in past years, that's the first yield field-based survey has happened in August. But this year, USDA changed their procedure, and that first entrance into the field is not going to happen until September. So I think it's fair game to be suspicious of the August estimate, just as I would be suspicious of a June or July estimate in any other year.
But Holtman cuts USDA some slack by pointing out this year's projections will be especially hard with the challenges of spring planting.
They come up and say 90 million planted acres, but they drop the harvested acres estimate to 82 million. So it seems to me like what USDA did is they tried to somewhat save face a little bit with a 90 million acre planting estimate, but the big question is what kind of quality are those 90 million acres? And the fact that they dropped the harvested acres down to 82 is some acknowledgement on their part that the planting situation was worse than what they estimated after the June report.
DTN's digital crop tour is forecasting a national average corn yield of 163.2 and 44.2 bushels per acre for soybeans. I'm Mark Dorenkamp with Managing for Profit on Brownfield.
At Fidelity, we believe nothing should come between you and your money. So we're introducing zero account fees with zero minimums to open an account. All because we want you to invest with zero trade-offs. Visit fidelity.com/value to learn more. Zero account minimums and zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Expenses charged by investments such as funds and managed accounts and for commissions, interest charges, or other expenses for transactions may still apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, member NYSE, SIPC.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge 327. I'm Michael Devine. Perhaps you heard this story. The San Francisco City Council has passed legislation demanding that convicted felons be referred to as justice-involved persons in an attempt to sanitize the language used to describe criminals. Let me tell you again, San Francisco has passed legislation demanding that convicted felons be referred to as justice-involved persons. Now, San Francisco, as you recall, a number of years ago, almost passed a bill, or legislation, I should say, that would have prevented smoking anywhere in San Francisco, until someone in the back of the room raised their hand and said, "Excuse me, but that would mean we couldn't smoke pot in city parks," and we forgot all about that resolution. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors, that's what it's called. But the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco is like our city council here or in other places. The supervisors say that dehumanizing language like prisoner, convict, inmate, or felon only serve to obstruct and separate people from society and make the institutionalization of racism and supremacy appear normal. Apparently, this nonsense is what they believe is normal. San Francisco, by the way, is struggling with an epidemic of disease caused by feces in the street. They have a huge homelessness problem. The homeless are drawn to San Francisco because of the city's, generous treatment of the homeless. So they have a huge drug addiction and homeless problem, and the highest property crime rate of any big city in the United States of America, which means everywhere in the United States of America. And the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, again, they're like the city council here in Fort Dodge and other places, is paralyzed by their own goodness. They are paralyzed by their own ideology, and they cannot save themselves from themselves. Again, they have a huge disease problem caused by feces in the street. And all of these people using the public streets and parks as open bathrooms, where they defecate and urinate at will, and they cannot be arrested for it. Now, instead of citizen or illegal alien, the Board of Supervisors urges the use of the words person or individual. The resolution was proposed by a supervisor by the name of Sandra Lee Fewer, who apparently has fewer sense than most people, but it did pass the 11-member board 10-0, with one supervisor absent. This is what happens when liberals rule the world. This is what happens when goodness and narcissism paralyze human beings. They cannot save themselves from themselves. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
By shopping at the Keon Central, you can help victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, trafficking, stalking, homicide, and other violent crimes. Proceeds from your purchases support the local shelter for adult and child victims who are fleeing from violence. The Keon Central is where great deals can be found on quality items that are donated by the generous supporters of the Domestic Sexual Assault Outreach Center. You can also help by donating items to the Key. The Keon Central, located at 1030 Central Avenue, Fort Dodge. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD news update, I'm Rob Jones. After a motorcycle and foot pursuit, Humboldt County law enforcement officers have arrested 34-year-old Bradley Bauman. Bauman was wanted by police here in Fort Dodge for multiple alleged car thefts. Tuesday afternoon, Bauman was spotted riding a motorcycle in front of a truck that had been reported stolen. The officer stopped the truck, but the motorcycle fled the scene and led officers on a chase throughout Humboldt. Reports say Bauman lost control of the bike at an intersection and collided with a house before running away on foot. Shortly after that, he was located hiding in an apartment building nearby. Bauman was taken into custody without further incident. He was then taken to a Humboldt hospital for treatment of minor injuries sustained in the accident. After being released from the hospital, he was booked into the Webster County Jail without bond for an outstanding warrant. Investigations into the pursuit and the stolen truck are still pending currently. Fort Dodge City Councilman Terry Minke was a guest on Divine's Intervention. Here's his comments about the mural being painted under the Kenyon Road Bridge here in Fort Dodge.
They did start the Pleasant Valley mural after a year of delays. We had approval of the Iowa DOT. They've never done this before. This was their first test case, yeah. But this is actually going to be a mural that will be preserved. Tavantis Gully and Dana Harrison. The mural started, they kind of roughed it in. They primed it on Sunday, and then they put some initial artwork on it on Monday. Finished up. He will be back over a series of weekends to kind of finish it up, add in.
Councilman Minke was instrumental in the initiation of the project after the idea was born over a year ago. The Fort Dodge Rib Ruckus Rib and Steak Competition is going on this Saturday in downtown Fort Dodge, north side of the city square. The event will feature live music throughout the day and is part of the Rural Iowa Barbecue Society, a nonprofit organization. All proceeds they raise at the event will go into charitable contributions. Here's one of the organizers of Rib Ruckus, Tim Maple, talking about the event.
A dear friend of ours that was a barbecue enthusiast that had passed due to a massive stroke. And we were sitting around one day and decided we wanted to do something, for him in his name and kind of honor him, what have you. And we decided what better way than to have a barbecue competition. And the idea was to generate some money and create a scholarship fund in his name. It'll be the Michael Moore Scholarship Fund, which will go to Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts Program.
Admission for the event's $15 per person, kids 12 and under free. Gates will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and a barbecue rib dinner will be served around 5:30 p.m. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Mainly clear this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 77. Northeasterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Clear skies and quiet tonight, lows level off around 53. High of 78 tomorrow, mainly sunny. Mid-70s Saturday and Sunday with a chance for scattered storms Sunday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 75.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. September corn up 3/4 cent to end the day at 3.63 1/4. December up 3/4 at 3.71. March up a half a penny at 3.83. May up a half a cent at 3.90 3/4. September soybeans down 4 1/2 at 8.56. November down 4 1/4 at 8.68 3/4. January beans down 4 1/4 at 8.82 1/2. March down 4 3/4 at 8.95 1/2. September wheat up 4 3/4 at 4.67 1/4. Soybean meal down $1 a ton at 293.70. August live cattle up 2.30 at 104.97. October up 87 cents at 101.10. August feeders up 102 at 138.40. September up 112 at 136.42. October lean hogs down $1 at 62.30. Geese down 112 at 61.55. February down $1.25 at 68.57. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Michael Devine and Janice Valentine, now at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. We have the fabulous Janice on today, a day early, because Janice has to do some kind of hearing thing tomorrow. I think your priorities are all screwed up, Janice, frankly.
Sometimes that job thing gets in the way.
Oh, that work. What a pain in the neck. Janice Valentine is a local attorney practicing primarily in workers' compensation and personal injury. There is no fee for first consultation. She's at Valentine Law Office, PC, Janice Valentine, J. Valentine at valentinelaw.net. You can reach the Valentine Law Office by calling 515-955-5544. She's at 415 the Boston Center, 809 Central Avenue, Fort Dodge, at www.valentinelaw.net. I want to talk to you a little bit about Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York, not because I'm a particular admirer of Senator Gillibrand. I don't see any of the Democratic candidates I'm particularly interested in, which leaves me with some terrible choice from the Democratic side, and an even worse choice from apparently the King of Israel or whoever he is this week. I don't. The world has gotten so bizarre, Janice. It's like I've taken LSD and I'm never coming back. For God's sake, just
maybe we should start that.
Maybe we should. I don't know. It couldn't be any stranger. But Senator Gillibrand, a couple of years ago, was a leading voice enforcing then Minnesota Senator Al Franken from office for groping women and being generally disrespectful to women. Now, there was kind of a fever in the air at the time, and a lot of men, very powerful men, and very high-profile men, Harvey Weinstein, perhaps the worst offender, Bill Cosby, another one, but people like the Today Show guy, what was his name?
Matt Lauer.
Matt Lauer, frankly, very much. They're all gone. And
Nunes.
Who?
Wasn't it Nunes, CBS, the CBS
Yes,
exec?
Nunez, yeah.
Munoz, that's right.
Yeah, and there was one other guy, Moonves, or whatever his name is. Yeah, he's gone too. And there was one other guy,
Charlie Rose.
Charlie Rose. Charlie Rose?
I know.
Why didn't you just tell me Mr. Rogers of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was getting handsy, for God's sake? I get a lot of those guys turned out to be, well, not who they, at least who I thought they were. Matt Lauer, I thought he was a sneaky little sucker, but that's all beside the point. Anyway, Al Franken, believe me, I'm the same age as Al Franken, and I know what kind of guy he was growing up. I've never met the guy, but I just have a feeling I know Al Franken. I was in gym class with Al Franken, for God's sake, and he was the type of guy who was always trying to look in the girls' locker room, and run back and tell us what he saw. I mean, there's so many pictures of Al Franken when he was younger, admittedly as a comedian on Saturday Night Live or wherever, making really rude and gross gestures that imply some sort of sexual behavior. He was just a crude comic. And then he became a United States Senator, which surprised me. And the Me Too movement caught up with him. Now, Senator Gillibrand demanded, she was one of the first and strongest voices to demand that Al Franken leave. Now, these other guys we just mentioned, they may have had liberal leanings, they may not have. Harvey Weinstein, for example, was a big contributor to liberal causes. He was a leading light as far as fundraising for the Democratic Party in California. And that meant a lot because California gives a lot of money to the Democratic Party, and if you wanted some of that money, it went through Harvey Weinstein's house. But he turned out to be a really, really bad guy, and somebody finally blew the whistle on him. And as far as I'm concerned, somebody finally blew the whistle on Al Franken. Not as bad as Harvey Weinstein, but there were 8 women who came forward to say Al Franken did these things, and they were ugly things. And 34 Democratic senators at the time insisted that Franken step down, which he eventually did. Well, now, because of a piece in the New Yorker written by Jane Mayer, who is a well-known author. I've read a couple of her books. She's a great investigative reporter. She has called some of the accusations against Franken into question. But she focused just on one woman's accusation, an admittedly conservative woman. The other 7 women who stepped forward, she didn't bother to talk to, which kind of surprised me. I guess what I'm leading up to here is that Senator Gillibrand now stands alone, and she still thinks that she did the right thing by moving on Al Franken. There were people at the time, even I was talking on the air at the time about due process. I don't like Franken. He's kind of a loudmouth. I think he's a sneak. The liberals and Democrats loved him, but I didn't. But I thought even he deserved due process. What do you think about this whole Al Franken thing?
Well, it's kind of old news to me. I mean, I think the ship has sailed. Al's where Al is, and Kirsten, is it Kirsten or Kristen? I think it's Kirsten.
Okay.
Is it? I'm not sure. Anyway.
I don't either.
Senator Gillibrand is where she's at. At the time I was with you, I've always been a big believer in due process in every situation, kind of the innocent until proven scenario. And I'm a huge Al Franken Saturday Night Live fan.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that part.
Right.
So I want to make it clear that I was a fan. I didn't see the political side of him, but he did make some effective arguments on the floor that I happened to catch for whatever reason, because it's not like I watch C-SPAN ever, but I caught some of his arguments, and he was pretty effective at making his point, I thought, in the rare moments that I saw him in that situation. So maybe there was more substance there than I gave him credit for in his Saturday Night Live skits. But, again, and whenever this topic comes up, to me, you have to give anyone that's coming forward the benefit of the doubt, they too are entitled to be heard and given due process. That doesn't necessarily mean they shouldn't go through the same process as the person being accused in terms of being subject to cross and all that kind of stuff. But in any event, you know, I don't think the ship has sailed for Al. I think that's done. I don't think you can undo that, and I don't think contrition or anything he could say or do is going to change where his situation is. And you know, I think her commercials, at least they catch my eye or my ear. I guess I should say it that way. I guess they caught my ear more than my eye. But I'm with you. I just don't know where this whole ticket is going, and it doesn't look good.
I'm glad we're at this point. I was even glad for the Me Too movement a little bit. By that I mean I'm old enough to remember when women, it seemed like their bodies were not their own, especially when some guy was drinking or he had a little authority. You know, I've talked to plenty of women my age who got grabbed at work. Oh gosh, wasn't that funny? Well, I don't think so. I've talked to plenty of women, relatives, members of my own family, who were cornered by a supervisor. And that sort of thing should not exist. I have grandchildren. I love them. I have beautiful little granddaughters. I don't want them ever put in that position. So in a way, I'm glad that this has happened. Whether they be conservatives or liberals is irrelevant to me. It really is. On the other hand, there seemed to be a little bit of a witch hunt feeling to the whole thing.
Well, and particularly when you put the political element into it, and as you suggested, I have not read the article you referred to where the author only interviewed one person. That seems kind of intriguing to me. That hardly seems like a journalistic approach to getting to the truth. If you're selectively interviewing who came forward, but yeah, when you throw that extra element onto it, you know, I think even more scrutiny needs to be had, because it's easy to throw somebody under the bus when they're in the public eye. Very easy.
Well, now it is. Now it, you know, and Donald Trump is still the president. You know,
I know.
That's the thing. That's what Al
And
Frank.
how many people have accused him?
Oh, it goes on and on and on.
And there again, with the political addition there, you know, those accusations need to be fairly vetted. But it seems kind of odd to me that many people would want to admit that that anything like that had happened to them with him. But
and then there's the Brett Kavanaugh thing. My God, I thought we were going to burn down the Senate.
Yeah.
That was insane. And let's bring it home a little bit closer. Nate Bolton, a friend of yours, Senator Nate Bolton, was, and here was the accusation, that Bolton had a few too many drinks and put his hand on another lawyer's butt. This happened to be a female, by the way. And you'd have thought the world was ending down in Des Moines. Janet Peterson, who is a very reasonable person, a Democrat from the Des Moines area in the Senate, called for Bolton to resign. He didn't, and I'm glad he didn't. What he did was not the right thing. He should be reprimanded and called to account. But to ruin his life, like was being suggested by both the accuser and Janet Peterson, I thought that was a little over the top.
Well, and maybe we should make it a little more current news, although it's slightly different because of the ages involved. But
yeah,
let's look at Jeffrey Epstein, you know, and look how power and people facilitated what sounds to me to be a very, very grotesque. What do you want to call it?
Grotesque.
Brothel of young girls.
Just so reprehensible. It's off the chart. I can't even find words. I can't.
Yeah. It's hard to believe something like that could go on at that high of a level and not be exposed for what it was much sooner. And in fact, I guess it was exposed, but kind of dusted under the rug a little bit down in Florida. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been a train wreck, maybe stopped a long time ago. But yeah, it highlights that it's amongst all of us. You know, look at the ring they just kind of got shot down in Des Moines at one of the hotels there. I forget which hotel that was, but there was a number of folks that got arrested for human trafficking there, young girls also involved. So,
God.
yeah. So it's not far from home.
No, it isn't far from home. I don't want to mistake human trafficking, by the way, with Al Franken and some of these other
I agree. There is a large difference between inappropriate Me Too movements and human trafficking.
So let's talk about due process. Do we give due process to everyone? I mean, and it'll often come down to, Janice, he said, she said. Really? I mean, that's what happened to Brett Kavanaugh. He had one credible accuser that I saw, and that was Dr. Ford, Dr. Blasey Ford. I mean, this clown out in California, Michael Avenatti, was bringing people forward Julie Swetnick, who later said, well, he said we could make money if I accused Brett Kavanaugh of rape or something.
Yeah, you're kind of bringing up names. This is news from last year. Was this last year?
Last year, well, it is. It's recent history, but I'm bringing it up because a lot of Democrats now are pointing a finger at Christian Gillibrand, saying you can't be our nominee because of what you did to Al Franken. I'm not really part of that party anymore, so I really don't know how to respond. It's emotionally rewarding to see someone accused by a number of women hounded from public life. But is that the right thing to do?
Right, and I think going back to the Al Franken situation, I don't think there was due process. Now, one could argue that due process only comes in if there's a fight, and Al Franken stepped aside. To his credit or not, I guess that's up to him whether he decided it was worth trying to clear his name, and maybe he knew more than we knew, and knew where that was going. Who knows?
Yeah, he did. He knew there was something to the charges. He didn't really want to face them. But Franken's a performer. He likes the spotlight. That's why Trump's president. And he hated to give up his job as senator. It gave him a lot of attention.
Well, and it did. Not always in positive ways, of course, but I don't think performers really care so much if the attention is positive or negative. They just want the attention. So, thus, all the lovely reality shows that we have, and everything else where everybody wants to be a star. But yeah, I think if Senator Gillibrand is firm in her convictions that what she did was right, she should stand by him. I mean, aren't we all tired of the whole flip-flopping politician thing that goes on way too often? And of course, with social media and Twitter and everything else that we have, it's a lot harder for you to pretend like you didn't say something 10 years ago and have it come back and bite you, as we've seen many, many times. But I'm not saying it's unfair for another candidate to make that accusation or that point in terms of what she did. But then I guess the question to them is, so you're okay with that?
Yeah, that's right.
You're okay with what a man would do to a woman that way? Is that your position? So I don't really think that that's a point that I would, if I was a candidate, that wouldn't be my message. And what does that do in terms of helping our country?
Nothing.
Let's talk some policy issues, and not to suggest that not having a violence-free society isn't a good thing. Okay, I'm not saying that, but I think me as a voter, I want to know, where do you stand on education, and where do you stand on taxes, and where do you stand on infrastructure and health care? Those are the issues I think that most Americans are actually interested in and concerned about in their daily lives, not so much what Al Franken is doing.
No, that's true. Franken, goofy doofus, just not my cup of tea. But
he'd probably be very flattered we're talking about him.
Yeah, I doubt.
I hope he's listening.
Yeah, I gotta doubt that too. I gotta doubt that too. I don't know if I told you this story. I told it on air a time or two, but I will always have a good feeling for Rick Perry. who is Secretary of Energy now, former governor of Texas, and he ran for president in 2016. Now, he was one of the first to drop out. He was seeking the Republican nomination. And the reason I'll always have I was reminded of this when I was down at the State Fair trying to get 2 minutes with any presidential candidate who would talk to me, and I was, trying to elbow my way through with NBC News and all these other people and newspapers and everything else. I wasn't very successful. But the reason I'll always like Rick Perry is he came to Fort Dodge one time, went out to Pizza Ranch. And I was waiting out there with my little KVFD shirt and microphone, and a couple of big nice cars, black cars pulled up, and sure enough, Rick Perry and one of the CNN hot dogs jumped out of the back seat of the car. So they started approaching the Pizza Ranch, and I walked over to then Governor Perry and said, "Hi, I'm with KVFD Radio here in town. I wonder if I could get a few minutes with you." Well, this CNN guy, tan, had his hair streaked blonde, rolled his eyes at Rick Perry and made a lot of disparaging remarks. He went on for a couple of minutes about, oh, wow, here's a guy from a local radio station, big deal type of thing, And Rick Perry just stopped in his tracks. He listened to the guy. And then he told him, "Why don't you go inside and wait? Because I'm going to talk to him for a couple of minutes." And he turned back to me and said, "You got as much time as you need." I like Rick Perry.
and isn't that interesting how an interaction like that it shapes you?
Yeah, yeah. I don't even know what he stood for anymore, and I don't know what he's doing as Secretary of Energy. But I like Rick Perry. He stood there and talked. He would have talked to me as long as I wanted to talk, and it was kind of nice. And by the way, we went into the back room there at the Pizza Ranch, and the CNN guy with the suntan and the streaked hair was over in the corner, and he looked like he'd shrunk 3 feet.
And you grew 3 feet taller.
Well, I had a real appreciation for Rick Perry, so if anybody runs poor Rick down, I'll tell him that story as an indication of his character. A lot of people didn't like Ronald Reagan, but one of who was that guy? Sam, the ABC News guy.
Sam Donaldson.
Sam Donaldson. He had a story about Jimmy Carter. Now, Jimmy Carter was a born-again Christian and a supposedly Christian pious man. Sam Donaldson told a story about there had been a mix-up at an airport, and Sam Donaldson asked if he and the ABC guys could fly on the next plane with Governor Carter, then Governor Carter. And Carter just looked at him with ice in his veins and said no, got in his car and left him sitting in some airport in a small town in New Jersey. And then he told a story about Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was coming out of the White House toward all the cameras, and all these news people these hotshot news people were waiting for Reagan to give them some sort of big news, and they were already starting to yell questions. Well, Reagan was coming out waving and smiling as he always did, and he accidentally ran into a Marine Corps guard who was standing at attention with his rifle, bumped him pretty hard. The poor kid was 19 years old and scared to death. So Ronald Reagan stopped everything, and he apologized profusely to this young Marine guard for bumping into him, engaged him in conversation. Where are you from? What do your mom and dad do? And here's the important press waiting and demanding his attention. He didn't care. he wanted to make sure this kid was all right. And Sam Donaldson, who was not a conservative guy, said, "That's what I remember about President Carter and President Reagan. After all the time I talked to him, those are the two things I remember about him." I think those are great stories.
They are, and it highlights again whatever that meme is about. It's not what you say; it's how you make people feel.
Boy,
it's very true.
That sure is. How was the golf game this summer, Janice?
It's not been active enough. That's been a problem.
Lack of golf is your problem?
It is. I think it is a diagnosable condition. I really do.
I had that very same problem. All right, Janice Valentine has been our guest. Thank you so much, Janice.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, this is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, 356.
Most Americans say they wash or rinse raw poultry before cooking it. But a new study by the U.S. Department of Agriculture says people need to stop. I'm Julie Harker, and this is Healthy Living on Brownfield. Christopher Bernstein, Director of Consumer Education at the USDA, says participants use test kitchens to cook chicken thighs and then prepare a salad. The study showed that people who washed the chicken ended up contaminating the sink and other surfaces.
3/4 of people, when they wash poultry, they didn't even try to clean and sanitize anywhere. And then you think about the other things you do in the sink. You wash your hands, you clean produce in the sink. So washing the poultry really increased risk of cross-contamination in a lot of different areas in the kitchen.
He says people should clean and sanitize any surface that has touched raw poultry or its juices. Bernstein says washing poultry doesn't accomplish much and instead increases the risk of food poisoning from cross-contamination. The study also shows not enough people are washing their hands in the kitchen.
We all know hand washing is important, but when we observe people in this test kitchen, they say they're going to wash their hands, but they actually don't. Or they say they wash their hands correctly and they actually don't. So they really need to spend a full 20 seconds lathering the hands with soap and water when they're washing hands.
I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
In today's economy, it just makes sense to plan ahead. At Historic Bruce Funeral Home, pre-planning your funeral arrangements can save you money. By planning ahead, you can secure your arrangements at today's prices, no matter when our services are needed. Pre-planning your funeral is one of the most thoughtful things you can do for your family. Call us for details. Historic Bruce Funeral Home, Fort Dodge. Online at brucesfuneralhome.com.
Every month after paying my bills, I used to wonder if I'd have enough money left to buy groceries. Sometimes I did. A lot of times I didn't. Then I learned about 211. It's the number seniors can call for help finding food. With their help, I found a food pantry near me. Now I don't have to wonder if I'll be able to afford groceries because there's plenty of food for everyone. Call 211 for help finding healthy food near you.
Funded by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP.
It's 4 o'clock. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. The news and the mayor of Fort Dodge coming up. Thanks for listening.
For exciting Panther sports, keep it right here on your home for University of Northern Iowa sports in North Central Iowa. The voice of Fort Dodge, KVFD, Fort Dodge.
The search is ending. Lisa Brady, Fox News. It's been 6 days since 2 firefighters went missing off the Florida coast.
Neither Brian McClooney nor Justin Walker have been found after searching 100,000 square miles in the Atlantic off Florida's coast. The pair never came back after taking out a fishing boat from Cape Canaveral last Friday.
I've made the extremely difficult decision today that we will suspend the active search tonight at sundown.
Coast Guard Captain Mark Vlon explains they just aren't likely to find survivors at this point. The 2 men were experienced fishermen. McClooney was a firefighter from Jacksonville, and Walker was a firefighter from Fairfax, Virginia.
Fox's Evan Brown in Miami. A coworker becomes the suspect in the killing on a college campus in California earlier this week. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal is live in L.A.
Yeah, Lisa, this week retired administrator Stephen Chan was stabbed to death on Cal State Fullerton's campus. The suspect fled and police released a sketch and surveillance video of the suspect running through the parking lot. Wednesday, Fullerton police arrested 51-year-old Chu Yin Vo for the murder. He had worked with Chen. Fullerton Lieutenant John Radis says they had found a backpack left under Chen's vehicle.
There were certain items in that backpack that were disturbing to say the least.
And that backpack obviously did play a role in our investigation, a significant role.
Inside were a knife, an incendiary device, zip ties, and wigs, Lisa.
Thanks, Jessica. A new arraignment scheduled for former movie producer Harvey Weinstein because of a new indictment. He's accused of raping Sopranos actress Annabella Sciorra in 1993. The indictment paving the way for her to testify at Weinstein's upcoming trial on other sexual assault allegations. He denies anything but consensual encounters. The new arraignment is set for Monday. America is listening to Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Let's talk credit card debt for a minute. If you feel you're carrying too much of it, you're not alone. The average household in the U.S. carries over $8,000 in credit card debt. Ready for some good news? With a cash-out refinance from Quicken Loans, you can quickly and easily put some of the equity in your home to good use by paying off a lot of that high-interest credit card debt. A great way to take cash out is with our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.125%, APR 4.22%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN to learn how taking cash out with a 30-year fixed mortgage might be the right solution for you. And for a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rates subject to change. Pay 0.88% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
A hotel cook accused of threatening a mass shooting in California. A coworker reporting to management that 37-year-old Rodolfo Montoya said he would shoot fellow employees and guests at the Long Beach Marriott.
Cops say Montoya was allegedly upset about a recent workplace issue that was taken up by Human Resources. When Montoya was arrested at home in Huntington Beach, police found a stockpile of firearms, along with an assault rifle, tactical gear, high-capacity magazines, and bullets. A local police chief says Montoya had clear plans, intent, and the means to carry out the shooting.
Fox's Ken Duffy. Montoya was booked on weapons charges and making a criminal threat. Another potential workplace plot uncovered in Wisconsin.
31-year-old Kevin Pinkham is accused in Eau Claire County in west central Wisconsin of trying to shoot up Menard's distribution center where he worked, based on a tip from a co-worker and a text to his girlfriend that he was going to kill everyone, which Pinkham tells investigators was a joke. Guns and ammunition found in his car and home. He's charged with making terroristic threats. In disorderly conduct, bond is set at $10,000. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Lightning strikes over and over again in an area popular with hikers and families. It happened today in the mountains of southern Poland, leaving 5 people dead, including 2 children, more than 100 others injured. Witnesses say the day began with clear weather and the thunderstorms rolled in suddenly. Some of the injured in serious condition with severe burns or head injuries. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, alongside his Canadian counterpart, urging ratification of the trade deal to replace NAFTA.
Politics cannot, indeed must not, get in the way of this monumental achievement for either of our nations.
No votes scheduled yet in Congress. Some House Democrats pushing for stronger labor and environmental provisions. This is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. After a motorcycle and foot pursuit, Humboldt County law enforcement officers have arrested 34-year-old Bradley Bauman. Bauman was wanted by police here in Fort Dodge for multiple alleged car thefts. Tuesday afternoon, Bauman was spotted riding a motorcycle in front of a truck that had been reported stolen. The officer stopped the truck, but the motorcycle fled the scene and led officers on a chase throughout Humboldt. Reports say Bauman lost control of the bike at an intersection and collided with a house before running away on foot. Shortly after that, he was located hiding in an apartment building nearby. Bauman was taken into custody without further incident. He was then taken to a Humboldt hospital for treatment of minor injuries sustained in the accident. After being released from the hospital, he was booked into the Webster County Jail without bond for an outstanding warrant. Investigations into the pursuit and the stolen truck are still pending currently. Fort Dodge City Councilman Terry Minke was a guest on Divine's Intervention. Here's his comments about the mural being painted under the Kenyon Road Bridge here in Fort Dodge.
They did start the Pleasant Valley mural after a year of delays. We had approval of the Iowa DOT. They've never done this before. This was their first test case, yeah. This is actually going to be a mural that will be preserved. Tavantis Gully and Dana Harrison. The mural started, they kind of roughed it in. They primed it on Sunday, and then they put some initial artwork on it on Monday. Finished up. He will be back over a series of weekends to kind of finish it up, add in.
Councilman Minke was instrumental in the initiation of the project after the idea was born over a year ago. The Fort Dodge Rib Ruckus Rib and Steak Competition is going on this Saturday in downtown Fort Dodge, north side of the city square. The event will feature live music throughout the day and is part of the Rural Iowa Barbecue Society, a nonprofit organization. All proceeds they raise at the event will go into charitable contributions. Here's one of the organizers of Rib Ruckus, Tim Maple, talking about the event.
A dear friend of ours that was a barbecue enthusiast that had passed due to a massive stroke. And we were sitting around one day and decided we wanted to do something, for him in his name and kind of honor him, what have you. And we decided what better way than to have a barbecue competition. And the idea was to generate some money and create a scholarship fund in his name. It'll be the Michael Moore Scholarship Fund, which will go to Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts Program.
Admission for the event's $15 per person, kids 12 and under free. Gates will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and a barbecue rib dinner will be served around 5:30 p.m. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Mainly clear this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 77. Northeasterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Clear skies and quiet tonight, lows level off around 53. High of 78 tomorrow, mainly sunny. Mid-70s Saturday and Sunday with a chance for scattered storms Sunday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 75.
Have the talk of the lifetime with the ones you love.
Grandma, this card asks, when did you get a TV and what was your favorite show?
I think around 1950 they had a Fort Dodge TV station that had a local barn dance show every Saturday night. Oh, honey, it was so much fun. They'd play instruments, we would sing and dance.
Sharing stories and memories with those who matter most isn't just important today, it will be especially significant when it's time to honor a life lived. Contact Gunderson Funeral Home to learn more about having the talk of a lifetime.
Connect to this radio station from all across the country. Take us to the gym, shopping. How about a road trip? Listen to us now on the free iHeartRadio app. You'll never miss a moment with your favorite radio station. Download the free iHeartRadio app and search for this station so we can go wherever you want us to.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge 409. Don't forget the Rib Ruckus this weekend. Also, don't forget that the Fort Dodge Police has openings for their Citizens Academy. They do have openings for their Citizens Academy, which starts next month. I think I'll give it a shot once again.
DTN Digital Crop Tour. Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Dorenkamp with Managing for Profit on Brownfield. Various firms are busy conducting surveys to assess the size of this year's corn and soybean crops. DTN recently partnered with Grow Intelligence to formulate yield estimates using a combination of data sets similar to what USDA uses for its August report. DTN lead market analyst Todd Holtman says while some states have yield projections close to USDA, there are 5 states that are significantly lower. More after this.
Here's farmer and landowner John Prue.
We purchased the land about 3 years ago, and there was an old farmstead on there with trees. We were going to clear the land so we could farm through it. We thought we knew where the pipe was, so we didn't call to get it located. The work on our property led to the damage of a light crude pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Some of the best sounds you'll ever hear are generic, safe, effective, even money-saving, just like FDA-approved generic drugs. Even if they don't come in the exact same color or shape as their brand name equivalents, they have the same key ingredients and go through a rigorous review process. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today and visit fda.gov/generic drugs. Generics are safe, effective, and can save you money. You'll like the sound of that.
DTN lead market analyst Todd Holtman says they recently conducted a digital crop tour using satellite imagery, weather data, and other public data.
Roughly half of the 10 states that we looked at were fairly close to USDA, and some like Kansas were even a little higher than USDA's estimate. But there were 5 significant states for both corn and soybeans that stood out to us as having much lower yields than what USDA estimated in August, and they are South Dakota, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio.
He tells Brownfield the digital crop tour projected a corn yield in Illinois that is way off the latest USDA forecast.
153 bushels an acre. That's down from 210 a year ago. USDA is looking for 181 in their August estimate. The real challenge will be when USDA gets into their field-based surveys in September. Does that higher estimate show up?
Holtman says USDA crop estimates shouldn't be taken too seriously until we get through August.
Every year, I consider USDA's yield estimate to be suspect until they actually get into the yield where they have field-based surveys. And typically in past years, that's the first yield field-based survey has happened in August. But this year, USDA changed their procedure, and that first entrance into the field is not going to happen until September. So I think it's fair game to be suspicious of the August estimate, just as I would be suspicious of a June or July estimate in any other year.
But Holtman cuts USDA some slack by pointing out this year's projections will be especially hard with the challenges of spring planting.
They come up and say 90 million planted acres, but they drop the harvested acres estimate to 82 million. So it seems to me like what USDA did is they tried to somewhat save face a little bit with a 90 million acre planting estimate, but the big question is what kind of quality are those 90 million acres? And the fact that they dropped the harvested acres down to 82 is some acknowledgement on their part that the planting situation was worse than what they estimated after the June report.
DTN's digital crop tour is forecasting a national average corn yield of 163.2 and 44.2 bushels per acre for soybeans. I'm Mark Dorenkamp with Managing for Profit on Brownfield.
Warning: if you're buried in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies make you think you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Answers at 800-970-5932. If you're struggling to pay off your debt, do not let the credit card companies make you think you have to. Call Credit Answers now for free information on how to get out of debt faster than you ever thought possible, without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We offer a guarantee with no upfront fees, so there's no risk. For free information, visit creditanswers.com or call 800-970-5932. That's 800-970-5932. Warning: if you're buried in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies make you think you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to let us settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Answers at 800-970-5932. If you're struggling to pay off your debt, do not let the credit card companies make you think you have to. Call Credit Answers now for free information on how to get out of debt faster than you ever thought possible, without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We offer a guarantee with no upfront fees, so there's no risk. For free information, visit creditanswers.com or call 800-970-5932. That's 800-970-5932.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 4343 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 4343. Enjoy.
Every month after paying my bills, I used to wonder if I'd have enough money left to buy groceries. Sometimes I did. A lot of times I didn't. Then I learned about 211. It's the number seniors can call for help finding food. With their help, I found a food pantry near me. Now I don't have to wonder if I'll be able to afford groceries because there's plenty of food for everyone. Call 211 for help finding healthy food near you.
Funded by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
That's right. That's what we're trying to do. Make radio great again at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Kind of waiting on the mayor here. He'll be around sooner or later. Had some meeting to go to. I think he's got his priorities all screwed up. He should have just told the guys, hey, listen, I got a meeting. I got to be on the air with Mike Devine, and that's just the end of the story. I don't know if you saw the front page of the Des Moines Register today, but Pravda, as I like to call the Des Moines Register, has done it again. They've given considerable space in their newspaper to someone named Wheaton Mather, who apparently, and they didn't even bring this up, who apparently is an animal rights activist. Now, he went to the state fair and was taking pictures of livestock. Now, what do you think an animal rights activist would be doing at the state fair taking pictures? I'm going to go way out on a limb here and say Wheaton Mather was looking for a confrontation, and he got it. He took a short video of a young man, like a teenager, a very old 14, maybe 15-year-old boy, trying to load a hog onto a trailer, and he was using a little whip on the end of the pig's nose. Now, Wheaton Mather alleges that this weapon used was so harsh that the pig's face was scarred. Now, I didn't see anything like that. I didn't see this whip being used in a cruel or unusual way. I would like to see Wheaton Mather and any of his animal rights activists load hogs onto a trailer. Here is my challenge to you, carrot heads. Try to load some pigs onto a trailer. Take them 10 miles away, and then try to get them off. Invite them off. Reason with them. Have a dialogue. Tell them that you understand their history of oppression from human beings as we have consumed them over the years. Because after all, protein isn't necessary in our diet. By the way, I engage these animal rights people on social media, on Facebook. And one of these guys told me, here's the guy's name, Ace Wild. Do you believe that's his real name? Do you believe that's his birth name? Ace Wild. As in aces are wild. Oh, wow. Does that sound dramatic? Anyway, I'm having a little fun with these carrot heads. And Ace informs me that pork is a I can never say this word. Carcinogen. It causes cancer. Pork causes cancer. Does anybody know where that came from, where that idea came from? I've heard it before, but no, I can't think of exactly where that belief came from, but I'll bet it's from an animal rights group. Now, my problem isn't with Wheaton Mather or Ace Wild or any of these other unusual people who want to go through life advocating for animals or eating carrots and lettuce and all these other things that they seem to enjoy. This is a free country. That's their right. I do have a problem with trying to liberate hogs. Think of that for a minute. These people want to liberate hogs. There's a group out there called the Animal Liberation Front. Apparently, they want to liberate animals. What would hogs do on their own, I wonder, in the wild? Well, I guess I do know what they do in the wild. Some folks took me along on a wild boar hunt in North Carolina in the swamp years ago. Now that was interesting. But that's the whole thing. The whole thing is that they're mad because animals are oppressed, and they've devoted their lives into this rather strange crusade to save us from pork consumption, because it hurts pork to be in confinements, and it hurts hogs to do this, and it hurts cows and chickens and everything else. As Bill Horan said, hog confinements, or confinements in general, were built to protect the profits of pork producers. And I remember this as a kid going out to my uncle's farm, and a sow had rolled over on some of her pigs and killed a couple of them every single day. And every time a piglet was killed, that was money that the farmer lost. So the idea of confinements came up so that wouldn't happen. Now, of course, the animal rights people, and I don't know who funds these people, all the problems in the world, and we have people worried about pork and beef consumption. Look, I don't have any problems with those who would fight against animal cruelty. I am not in favor at all of treating animals in a cruel way. Certainly not, or a neglectful way. But Bill Horn also told us that the Chinese are aware that if you introduce pork into the diet of children, their IQ will increase 15 to 20% over the course of their young lives, during their growing up years. And I'm not aware of anyone dying from cancer due to pork. Is there anyone out there, is anyone listening here? Because I think this is important. If you know anyone who died of pork consumption, give me a call, 515-955-1400. Maybe I'm the uneducated one here. But I have never heard anyone dying of pork, of cancer-related pork, or pork-related cancer, or something. Whatever they're talking about, I don't understand it. I've never heard anybody dying that way. Do you know? Do you have an uncle, you have an aunt, grandma, grandpa, somebody, a friend who died of cancer after eating pork, and the physician came to the family and said, the patient ate too much pork. The patient ate too much pork. That's why they're gone, or that's why they will die. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. Again, I'm not even angry with these people. I'm not angry with Wheaton Mather and Ace Wild and all these other carrot heads. I'm angry with the Des Moines Register for giving them front page coverage and not mentioning the fact that these people were activists. If you go to the Des Moines Register today, or Pravda as I like to call it, if you go to the Des Moines Register today and read that story, you'll never find any indication that Wheaton Mather is an animal rights activist, and he certainly is. None. The only good news is Wheaton has been kicked out of the Iowa State Fair for life. And that, as far as I'm concerned, is a good thing.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
425, Mayor Matt Bemrick's on his way. The news is next.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter. the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. After a motorcycle and foot pursuit, Humboldt County law enforcement officers have arrested 34-year-old Bradley Bauman. Bauman was wanted by police here in Fort Dodge for multiple alleged car thefts. Tuesday afternoon, Bauman was spotted riding a motorcycle in front of a truck that had been reported stolen. The officer stopped the truck, but the motorcycle fled the scene and led officers on a chase throughout Humboldt. Reports say Bauman lost control of the bike at an intersection and collided with a house before running away on foot. Shortly after that, he was located hiding in an apartment building nearby. Bauman was taken into custody without further incident. He was then taken to a Humboldt hospital for treatment of minor injuries sustained in the accident. After being released from the hospital, he was booked into the Webster County Jail without bond for an outstanding warrant. Investigations into the pursuit and the stolen truck are still pending currently. Fort Dodge City Councilman Terry Minke was a guest on Divine's Intervention. Here's his comments about the mural being painted under the Kenyon Road Bridge here in Fort Dodge.
They did start the Pleasant Valley mural after a year of delays. We had approval of the Iowa DOT. They've never done this before. This was their first test case, yeah. But this is actually going to be a mural that will be preserved. Tavantis Gully and Dana Harrison. The mural started, they kind of roughed it in. They primed it on Sunday, and then they put some initial artwork on it on Monday. Finished up. He will be back over a series of weekends to kind of finish it up, add in.
Councilman Minke was instrumental in the initiation of the project after the idea was born over a year ago. The Fort Dodge Rib Ruckus Rib and Steak Competition is going on this Saturday in downtown Fort Dodge, north side of the city square. The event will feature live music throughout the day and is part of the Rural Iowa Barbecue Society, a nonprofit organization. All proceeds they raise at the event will go into charitable contributions. Here's one of the organizers of Rib Ruckus, Tim Maple, talking about the event.
A dear friend of ours that was a barbecue enthusiast that had passed due to a massive stroke. And we were sitting around one day and decided we wanted to do something, for him in his name and kind of honor him, what have you. And we decided what better way than to have a barbecue competition. And the idea was to generate some money and create a scholarship fund in his name. It'll be the Michael Moore Scholarship Fund, which will go to Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts Program.
Admission for the event's $15 per person, kids 12 and under free. Gates will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and a barbecue rib dinner will be served around 5:30 p.m. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Mainly clear this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 77. Northeasterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Clear skies and quiet tonight. Lows level off around 53. High of 78 tomorrow, mainly sunny. Mid-70s Saturday and Sunday with a chance for scattered storms Sunday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 75.
From the Fox Business Network, stocks closing mixed as investors turn cautious ahead of a widely anticipated speech tomorrow by Fed Chair Jerome Powell at the central bank's annual conference in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. While the bond market flashed another recession signal today, long-term bond yields slipped below short-term yields once again. With the Dow rising 50 points, the Nasdaq down 29, S&P 500 down a point. And Hewlett-Packard shares falling in the extended session after announcing earnings that beat analysts' expectations, but revenue fell, and the PC and printer maker also announced that its CEO was stepping down. And Gap reporting quarterly results with same-store sales falling short of analyst estimates, hit by weakness at its Gap and Old Navy brands. And a big shakeup at Overstock.com. Its founder and CEO Patrick Byrne has exited the discount online retailer, saying he was far too controversial to serve as CEO, saying he didn't want his presence to distract from the company's business strategy. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Hillary Barsky.
Hey, my friend's retail store was the victim of IoT password theft.
Yep. Cybercriminals are taking over security cameras, payment systems, and other IoT devices by exploiting vulnerabilities.
What if they target us and our dispersed network?
We're secured with Barracuda. We have advanced firewalls for our sites, enhanced security for our cloud infrastructure, and total email protection.
Such a relief.
Protect your business at Barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
I'm Jamie Brundage, owner of Historic Bruce Funeral Home. We're a full-service funeral home with an off-site crematory. At Bruce's, we specialize in pre-arrangements and family support before, during, and after the service. We also offer beautiful memorial items to help you remember your loved one forever. Bruce Funeral Home is proud to be by your side every step of the way throughout the funeral process. Historic Bruce Funeral Home, Fort Dodge.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed. And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments, clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, 433. Mayor Matt Bremming's in the studio. We'll talk with him in just a couple of minutes. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce's Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South in Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce's Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Mr. Bruce Messerly has died at the age of 75. Mr. Messerly died day before yesterday at the Paula J. Bieber Hospice Home. Visitation will be at 9 o'clock in the morning Saturday until the funeral service at 10, and that's going to be at the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church. Again, that's Saturday. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce's Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce's Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. It's 4:34 at AM 1400. KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Did you know when you donate items to the Keon Central, you're helping support DSOC, the local shelter for 20 North Central Iowa counties? At DSOC, we support victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, survivors of homicide, and other violent crimes. When you bring your tax-deductible donations to the Key, you support them too. The Key is always accepting clothing, shoes, furniture, kitchen items, household goods, and more. On behalf of DSOC, thank you for your donations to the Keon Central, located at 1030 Central Avenue, Fort Dodge.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
All right, this is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Michael Devine here. Yeah, we're going to tell the truth. Make it matter. We're never going to be boring. We got the mayor here, Matt Bemrick. What, you had a meeting or something?
I did.
All right.
My apologies.
Okay, you weren't down at Amigos having the meeting or something now, were you?
No, I was not.
That's a great meeting spot, isn't it?
Yeah, actually.
So what's going on? I've been barking all week about broadband. I think it's something we got to get done.
Oh, yeah.
I
believe Monday night we have a preliminary report coming in a form of a workshop before the council meeting.
This Monday night?
This coming Monday night.
Okay.
From there, they're going to be kind of filling us in on what they've discovered through their surveying and some of the data they've tried to collect. And then we should have a full report from the consultant sometime in mid to late September that kind of gives us an idea of what our next steps would be in order to either create our own broadband network or partner with someone to do it or try to recruit private sector industry to do it or whatnot. So,
okay.
And actually, the meeting I just came from was about a business that is very tech related, that we're trying to talk to right now. So,
okay.
Not related to broadband, but more about economic development stuff. So, yeah, cool stuff going on.
I hope we can do this. Not it won't be for my sake. I'm old. I'll be dead here in 10 years. But but I think
That's
it's something.
such a great attitude to
Well,
have.
gosh, man, if I'm still alive in 10 years, I'll be really old. I'll be out the Friendship Haven. I might be too old for the Friendship Haven, for God's sake. But I think it's, the future is just rushing at us. I'm convinced of that more and more as time goes by.
Sure,
And,
sure.
The more things change, and change is coming faster all the time.
Absolutely.
I have heard, and I believe this, that there has been more changes in the last 100 years than there was in all of history. More technological
Did you know
changes.
that from 2000 to 2012 was the largest, this is worldwide, was the largest growth in the fight against poverty in the history of the world? So basically the rising of people out of poverty, even though we still have a homeless issue, we still have poverty issues. I'm not saying we don't have those. But the largest segment of our population left what is considered poverty on a worldwide scale between 2000 and 2012.
Really?
I just read that in an article the other day.
Outstanding.
I don't know the source. A lot of times I read these articles, but I don't always look up the source. So I can't quote the source, but it was an article that was all about growth and expansion on a worldwide global scale, and in what direction things are moving. Where are the emerging economies? Is it growth in what sectors? The interesting thing, one of the interesting data points that I saw was the value of human collected data about you and I, surpassed the value of oil.
Surpassed the value
of oil.
Wow.
So the data that is collected from every time you Google something, or every time you go on Facebook, or every time you're on Instagram or Amazon, that data per individual surpassed the value of oil.
Wow.
In whatever measurable unit, which that's why I kind of, I read that, and again, I didn't really research the source of this. I thought it was interesting because I'm like, well, how do you measure the quantify? We measure oil by the gallon at the pump and by the barrel in the
Sure.
industry. How do they measure the value of data? Is it by gigabyte or by person or by what? I don't know. So it's interesting, though, that the article said that data was worth more than oil. I thought it was.
It means we've crossed a line again somewhere in the evolution of mankind. I don't suppose sooner or later we'll run out of oil.
Probably.
I mean,
well, that's why you're seeing alternative energies being more and more invested in. I guess the technology, the research into those alternative energies is becoming more and more relevant part of our daily activity, where, in the 80s and 90s, the idea of an electric car just seemed
ridiculous,
obscure.
Well, in the 80s and 90s, the idea of a telephone that you could carry around in your pocket was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, really, I remember having a car phone, probably in the mid-1980s, maybe 86, 87, and it plugged into the cigarette lighter, and the only thing you could do really was make calls, and you had to be fairly close to the phone that you were calling.
Right.
Now I can call anybody practically in the world. It's an amazing thing. The world is an amazing thing. Are you still getting text messages?
I am. I'm actually trying to deal with an issue somebody has with a road that's torn to pieces. Wasn't planned to be torn to pieces. It's interfering with something with some other important things.
Well, we don't want that would be a bad thing, to have a road torn up that wasn't supposed to be torn up, because then you've got to put it back together, and that might take a little time, right?
Yes. Absolutely. What else is hot topic this week?
Well, I'm always curious about the mall.
Not a lot to report yet.
Not a lot to report.
Yeah.
Well, it is.
Like I told you, I think it was last week or the week before. I don't remember. This due diligence process or time period in the next 120. That 120 days started a little over a week ago now. it'll be kind of a, hurry up and wait, and then all of a sudden, boom, here's some information. Hurry up and wait, boom, here's some information. There's a lot of people doing a lot of bits and pieces in the background right now. Everything from reviewing of the existing leases to, getting a building inspection, getting estimates on what it could cost to possibly tear it down later, concept ideas of how to redevelop the parcel, all that kind of stuff. It just takes time.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when
I wish we could snap our fingers and have it, because I'd love to be sitting here talking about it right now.
You wouldn't wait for the messenger. You wouldn't wait.
Are you still crying about that?
I prefer to think of it as griping.
Griping. Oh.
Justifiable griping.
Justifiable griping.
Justifiable.
Okay, I gotcha.
You and the evil Fearig.
Yeah.
And Drago.
Yeah.
Drago. Doesn't Fearig look like that big boxer Drago in the Rocky movies?
Who?
Drago, the big boxer.
You think
the
Fearig looks like Drago?
Yeah.
I don't.
You don't really?
No.
Give him some hair and a more menacing look.
No.
No, you don't? Okay.
No.
Well, all right.
I don't see it.
Okay.
Drago.
Drago, was that
Not
his name?
Drago.
Okay.
Yeah, Ivan Drago was the boxer in Rocky.
Ivan
And
Drago?
he said, "I will break you."
I will break you. Yeah, that's who I think he looks like.
I don't think so.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How about
That's
Baron
Dolph
Von?
Lundgren? Isn't that his name?
Was that who it was?
Isn't that his real name?
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah. He was just in the Aquaman movie.
Dolph Lundgren was?
Yeah, he was one of the underwater kings or something.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that Jason Momoa or whatever his name is?
Yeah.
He was from Iowa.
He's from Iowa, absolutely.
What a huge
And so
dude.
was Superman. The Superman a few years back was from Iowa.
Oh, yeah. That makes two Supermen who were born in Iowa.
Right.
But George Reeves was born over here in Woolstock.
George
moved.
Reeves was, yeah.
He moved.
Birthplace of Superman.
Yeah.
They used to have a sign. Do they still have a sign over there? I think
I haven't
there used
seen
to be
it
a
in quite
sign
a
that
while.
said Birthplace of Superman. I can't remember. It's been a while since I drive by Woolstock every one that on 17 where you turn to go to Woolstock, but I haven't been in Woolstock in quite a number of years.
Yeah, I guess I haven't either. I used to drive over there when I wanted to go on 35 North and go through Woolstock, but that's been a while since I did that. Anyway, if you have a question or comment for the mayor of Fort Dodge, now is the time. 515-955-1400, 515-955-1400. I was encouraging people to be on the lookout for that Bradley Bauman character who was running around stealing vehicles.
Then they ran him down up in Humboldt.
Yeah, and they finally got him arrested.
Yeah,
I guess
that's
he's
good.
in jail.
He needs to be in jail.
He does. He was more dangerous than most other criminals.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of that like menacing. People commit crimes. I'm not saying crime doesn't happen, but it's not usually just a menacing criminal that's just running around stealing stuff or breaking into things or threatening people or doing those kind of things. We don't generally have people that are just preying, like one individual just running around preying on people. I mean, we get the break-ins in the cars, and we get some houses broken into. Absolutely, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I mean, this guy it was like he went on a crime spree for a period of time there, and they had him identified. They just had to catch up to him.
Yeah, and he could have hurt somebody easily. He actually had no respect for
none
anyone else,
even himself.
Well, he preyed on the fact that the police were decent human beings and would back off if he got too crazy, and they did. That was a serious. He was a menace to our town.
The 15-year-old kids that they chased all the way from Webster City to Fort Dodge. That was kind of crazy.
That was kind of weird too.
Yeah, I mean, it takes some guts at 15 years old to run from the cops. Wow.
Man, yeah,
that surprised me. You don't normally hear teenage kids. I mean,
not that young.
Typically at
Not
15, if the cherries come on, you're instantly almost crying and you're pulling over.
No.
But man, they took a run for it, and they must have had a crazy idea in their head that if they crossed the county line, they couldn't follow them or something. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, that seemed weird too. There's been some weird stuff going on lately, and a lot of times they'll tell you the weather dictates kind of behavior. Sometimes, when it's really nice out and people are out late and they can walk around more, weird stuff tends to happen. So it's interesting.
I don't know about that. I don't know. they say in the dead of winter, people can get depressed, and I can understand that. I was a little depressed in February and March myself. God,
I mean,
is it ever going to end?
it's hard to be highly motivated in the when it's dark
all the time.
It seems like you get up and go to work, it's dark. You get home, it's dark. It's hard to be motivated.
It is,
and have a good attitude, I guess.
There's 8 hours of sunlight.
Yeah, it's been just really odd. I mean, I kind of have the fear that September is going to be just like brutally hot because we just haven't had a heat wave really this year. Not yet. We've had some hot weather. I'm not saying we haven't had hot weather, but we haven't had that like just miserable, humid, hot 2-3 weeks straight, no rain, just hot, and it just makes me think it's going to be coming.
Yeah. I hope not.
I hope not too. It'd be nice to get a win in the weather column around here.
It would. It really would. Because it's going to be too late for the farmers to benefit from that kind of weather anyway. I mean,
well, it'll dry their corn out quick, but well, it depends if the humidity and all that stuff. But interesting. So you made it to the state fair a couple times?
Oh, a couple times.
I didn't make it this year. I kind of feel bad. I think we've made it the last number of years. But this year we didn't make it down there.
I think the state fair is a great thing.
I love the state fair.
I had a particularly good time at the pork producers tent.
Mm-hmm.
I had a little conversation with the Iowa pork queen.
Yeah.
And the next day in the register,
she was delivering
with her tiara.
Yeah, I saw that.
Delivering a hog.
I saw that.
Helping out a hog. She pulled pigs. Just she's walking by and she sees that the sow's having a problem. She dives right in, tiara on, and takes care of it. 17 years old. It's a great pleasure for me to go down there and meet young, educated, well, they're not even educated, but young, motivated, young people, male and female, who know what they want to do with their lives, and they want to be involved in agriculture, and they want to stick around where they were born and contribute. And I guess it makes me feel good to do that. And there were a lot of great people down there, a lot of great people. And we had a good time with Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters down there as well. Had the whole Peterson family down there, and that was fun. That was fun as well. But the fair, I don't think it changed as much over the years.
I think they broke another attendance record.
They did.
They had great weather for the fair, really.
Oh,
I mean, the weather's been pretty awesome.
I went down on the first Friday. The fair started on Thursday the 8th, and I was down there the 9th. And God, I couldn't hardly get around. I really couldn't. I could hardly get around. And of course, the politicians were down there.
Oh,
Biden
everybody's
was there,
been down there.
Kamala Harris, and I could see them, but I couldn't get close to them.
Yeah,
I couldn't get close enough to. And I've talked about it several times on the air. I couldn't elbow my way through the crowd. Once I elbowed my way through the crowd, there was CBS and the New York Times and all these other TV stations surrounding the candidates, and that's who the candidates wanted to see anyway. They didn't seem to care that I was there with KVFD Radio 4 Down.
No, you're not. You're not as big of a deal as you think you are.
No. I'm perfectly happy being the only talk show in North Central Iowa.
Yeah,
I have no competition.
You have.
So I'm number one.
Yeah.
I'm the number one rated talk show in Webster County.
For sure.
Get the hell back. I may be the well, I don't know. Between here and Sioux City, I might be number one. I don't know. They might listen to WHO.
How far can you get 1400?
It's an hour.
About an hour away.
I can pick. I picked, and I noticed when I was coming back from the state fair, I picked it up just south of Ames.
Okay.
I mean, by picked it up, you really couldn't really hear it.
Choppy.
That well. Yeah, it was real choppy. And by the time I got to the north side of Ames, I was fine. But it's about 60 miles. Okay. My mom, for some reason, Algona is only, in fact, from my house to her house is only 46 miles. For some reason, she can't pick it up. So she listens on YouTube, which is cool.
Yeah.
But other people say they can pick it up all, over in Storm Lake and this way and that way. And a lot of people in Manson listen for some reason. I think that's good. I don't know why, but a lot of people in Manson listen. So, are you getting your street? You're still paying attention?
Yeah, Fierk's all over it. He's trying.
Fierk's all over.
He's trying to figure out why we tore it up right today.
Remember Baron von Raschke? What do you think?
Baron von. Oh.
Vierick looked like Baron von Vierick. Should we start calling him that?
You can call him whatever you want.
I'm
just going to call him David.
Are you just going to call him David? Okay. I'm trying to think of an appropriate nickname for Vierick.
What?
He's kind of an imposing guy. You know, he's a big guy.
He's a big guy. Yeah, he is a big fella. Well, yeah, I mean, he played college football. He's a good sized fella.
Did he play at Illinois?
Yeah, he did at it was Western Illinois, I believe.
Did he play at Western?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, I thought he went to Champaign, but maybe I'm wrong.
You mean at Illinois?
Yeah, at Illinois.
No, he went to, I want to say it was Western Illinois, or it might have been Northern Illinois.
Randy Koolman was a basketball coach at Western Illinois.
Was he?
Combe.
Oh, that's right, he was, wasn't he?
Way back in the day.
Back in the day. Maybe it was Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois is in DeKalb.
Yeah, it wasn't DeKalb.
There's Eastern Illinois too. They're all over the place.
No, I think it was Western Illinois.
Yeah, I'll ask him.
You have to ask him next time you have him in here.
I will.
He can tell you some college football stories.
Yeah, we got the Rib Ruckus coming up this weekend, of course. That should be a good thing down the city square. Should be a fun thing. And don't we have senior high? Doesn't senior high have their thing tonight?
St. Ed's has, well, I don't know. Do they have their pop scrimmage tonight?
That's what I'm thinking.
I think you're right. I think senior high does tonight, and then tomorrow night Belmont Clemmy comes to play the Gales at Dodger Stadium for.
Is that this Friday?
Yeah, tomorrow night.
No kidding.
That's their pop scrimmage, and then next week on Friday night, the Dodgers open here at home against Marshalltown, or I think it's Marshalltown, and then the Gales are on the road and they go to Panora.
Gales, oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Panora was up here last year.
Correct.
I remember they had that big quarterback.
Yeah, they had a really good quarterback. They had quite a few weapons last year that graduated, so it might be a little bit different of a game this year.
The St. Ed kids are across the street playing, or practicing,
yeah,
I should say. Yeah. They're doing so when I come to work sometimes at 8 o'clock in the morning, they're already over there.
Yeah.
Boy, I did not.
They're on the nights now because the teachers went back to school.
Did they?
They were doing like 7 a.m. workout, weights and whatnot, and then they did 8 a.m. Practice, 8 to 11, and now I think they're doing like 3:30 to 5:30 or something like that.
Man, you really got to want to play football to do that stuff, man. I remember doing it when I was a kid, but by the time I got to be...
You got a lot more energy when you're that age.
Yeah, I think you do, but boy, they take it out of you, I can tell you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the boys came home last night. They had
both your younger sons out for football?
Yeah, Jackson's a senior and Grant's a junior.
Jackson's a senior?
Jackson's a senior.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then the younger one is?
Grant.
He's
a junior this year.
Well, who's the older one? I keep thinking
Carter's the oldest. He lives up in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Does he? Mm-hmm. I keep thinking Grant's the oldest for some reason. I don't know.
No, Carter Jackson Grant.
Carter Jackson. Okay. And your oldest son lives up in St. Paul?
St. Paul.
Okay. Well, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. You have a question or comment for the mayor? It's 515-955-1400. We're just chatting, and that's fine with me, actually. By the way, the Police Academy, or the Citizens Academy.
Yeah.
Not Police Academy. No, that's the movie.
That's a good movie.
Oh, they were great movies. There was a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
They were great. The Citizens Academy has openings, so go to the Fort Dodge Police Facebook page. Shouldn't be hard to find the Fort Dodge Police Facebook page. There's an application form there. Do that, or you can go to fortdodgepolice.org, either way, and get it done. I don't know if it's on the city website or not. I can't say, but Facebook page or fortdodgepolice.org. If you want to go to the Citizens Academy, I think it's 2 hours, one night a week for 6 weeks. I think that's what.
I think that's about right. Yeah, 6 weeks. It's about an hour to an hour and a half. I think it depends on which one it is.
Okay.
I
went to the first one. Carmody was still here, and Greg Wells was the market manager. So that's been a few years ago. I don't know how many years they've been doing it, I guess. Roger Porter was in here on Tuesday. I didn't ask him. It's not important, really.
Yeah, Carmody started it. We got to be rolling up on like the 8th year, 6th, 7th, 8th year. Easy.
I would think. AM 1400 KVFD, good afternoon. You're on the air with the mayor.
Yeah, sir. There's a rumor going around that the property are so far away from the sewage plants is being sold. Is that true?
The property so far away is being sold?
Yeah.
No, we wouldn't sell any property around the sewer plant. It'd be more likely that we would be purchasing land around the sewer plant.
Yeah, is the city buying them property then?
Well, if we have to buy them because of expansion or because we have a future expansion, if it comes for sale, yeah, we would most likely buy those properties.
Oh, well, I know there's a certain property across the river on the east side of the river,
right,
that was sold.
Correct. We did buy that one.
So why would it be across the river? Would be an expansion.
No, it doesn't matter if it's across the river or right adjacent or where it is. If it's in a certain cone, which is determined by the DNR, and we're going to expand, and it's in that circle, because you got to draw a circle around it, not just, it's not linear, it's a circle. If it's inside that circle or if it's close to that circle and we expand, we could have to buy those properties, any of those properties. So if we have somebody that comes to us and says, hey, I want to sell my property and I know it's in this cone, we would most likely buy them.
Oh, okay.
Instead of them transferring to somebody else and then us having to buy it from them at a later date.
So you're going to have a lot of property out there that's being sold in?
If anybody owns property out there that's right adjacent to the sewer plant and they live in it, and it's inside that cone, and if they came to us and said, hey, I want to sell my property, we would most likely look at it and say, okay, should we buy this now, or should we hope that we won't have to buy it?
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So you think of the plan itself as a circle, and then there's different rings that go out around it, and they relate to odor, environment, all those different things. And if you're in those circles, and depending on how we expand and what expansions take place, we could have to acquire more property.
So like Ulicky, would they be involved in that?
They could be. It would depend on the expansion, and it depends on whether or not they want to sell.
Yeah. But they don't have to sell.
No. I don't see why we would condemn anybody's property. But if we can have less nuisance issues, so a property that's inside of a ring that, like, let's say it's an odor ring, where you got to mitigate odor within that ring, the investment to mitigate the odor versus the investment to acquire the property, it may make more sense.
Oh.
Do you understand what I'm saying there?
Okay.
So let's say you have...
I was just wondering, the rumor was going around, that you were going to condemn it,
No. The council, this council, and the councils I've been working with as mayor and previously as a council member, have only used condemnation in, I think, 3 cases.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much, sir.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. AM 1400.
Yeah, that's kind of a complicated subject. But yeah, if we're going to expand the wastewater plant and the DNR says, okay, these are the properties impacted, you either have to mitigate how you're impacting them, or you can acquire them. So that could lead to negotiations or capital investment where you got to mitigate whatever the environmental impact you're making is. All those kind of complicated things.
All right. Well, Matt, thanks for being here for the abbreviated.
Sorry I was late.
Well, it happens. You got a job too, huh? No, that totally sucks. So, are you going to run for mayor again?
Don't know. That's a long time from now.
That's a long time from now.
Yeah. We've got council elections this fall, leading up to that in November, and then I got 2 whole years after this year.
Yeah.
So.
Funny, we start talking about getting our own broadband, and some guy from Mediacom runs for council.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that interesting? Matt Bemrick's been our guest. It's 5 o'clock. Thanks, everybody, for listening. This is KVFD Fort Dodge, Iowa.
If you're a gearhead or not, you'll enjoy the Under the Hood Car Show every Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400, KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Unraveling a murder mystery on a college campus. I'm Lee Silicera, Fox News. Police at Cal State Fullerton with new information into the stabbing death of a retired university employee. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has more live.
Lisa, Fullerton police arrested 51-year-old Chu Yin Vo, accusing him of killing Stephen Chan. The retired administrator was stabbed to death on Cal State Fullerton's campus this week. Bob Dunn is Fullerton's police chief.
We now know that Vo and Chan were co-workers here at Cal State Fullerton.
beyond them being coworkers, we cannot comment specifically on their work relationship.
And key to the investigation was a backpack found underneath Chan's car belonging to the suspect, containing a knife, an incendiary device, wigs, and zip ties, Lisa.
Thanks, Jessica. A coalition of state attorneys general with a legal challenge to a White House rule that fast-tracks deportation of immigrants without due process.
17 states and the District of Columbia are joining forces to fight actions they say separate families. The brief filed in Washington, D.C. calls for preliminary injunctions to stop enforcement of the Homeland Security policy that sets deportation in motion without people getting the chance to get lawyers to defend themselves. New York Attorney General Letitia James, whose state has more than 4 million immigrants, called the Trump administration policy xenophobic in a statement, adding it could lead to wrongful deportations. So far, the Department of Justice has not issued a response.
Fox's Gernal Scott. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in Ottawa today stressing the need to ratify the new trade agreement for North America.
Politics cannot, indeed must not, get in the way of this monumental achievement for either of our nations.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has pledged to take up the bill, but some House Democrats have been pushing for stronger labor and environmental guarantees. On Wall Street, the Dow gained 49, the Nasdaq fell 28. America's listening to Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home of your dreams. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD news update, I'm Rob Jones. After a motorcycle and foot pursuit, Humboldt County law enforcement officers have arrested 34-year-old Bradley Bauman. Bauman was wanted by police here in Fort Dodge for multiple alleged car thefts. Tuesday afternoon, Bauman was spotted riding a motorcycle in front of a truck that had been reported stolen. The officer stopped the truck, but the motorcycle fled the scene and led officers on a chase throughout Humboldt. Reports say Bauman lost control of the bike at an intersection and collided with a house before running away on foot. Shortly after that, he was located hiding in an apartment building nearby. Bauman was taken into custody without further incident. He was then taken to a Humboldt hospital for treatment of minor injuries sustained in the accident. After being released from the hospital, he was booked into the Webster County Jail without bond for an outstanding warrant. Investigations into the pursuit and the stolen truck are still pending currently. Fort Dodge City Councilman Terry Minke was a guest on Divine's Intervention. Here's his comments about the mural being painted under the Kenyon Road Bridge here in Fort Dodge.
They did start the Pleasant Valley mural after a year of delays. We had approval of the Iowa DOT. They've never done this before. This was their first test case, yeah. But this is actually going to be a mural that will be preserved. Tavantis Gully and Dana Harrison. The mural started, they kind of roughed it in. They primed it on Sunday, and then they put some initial artwork on it on Monday. Finished up. He will be back over a series of weekends to kind of finish it up, add in.
Councilman Minke was instrumental in the initiation of the project after the idea was born over a year ago. The Fort Dodge Rib Ruckus Rib and Steak Competition is going on this Saturday in downtown Fort Dodge, north side of the city square. The event will feature live music throughout the day and is part of the Rural Iowa Barbecue Society, a nonprofit organization. All proceeds they raise at the event will go into charitable contributions. Here's one of the organizers of Rib Ruckus, Tim Maple, talking about the event.
A dear friend of ours that was a barbecue enthusiast that had passed due to a massive stroke. And we were sitting around one day and decided we wanted to do something, for him in his name and kind of honor him, what have you. And we decided what better way than to have a barbecue competition. And the idea was to generate some money and create a scholarship fund in his name. It'll be the Michael Moore Scholarship Fund, which will go to Iowa Central Community College's Culinary Arts Program.
Admission for the event's $15 per person, kids 12 and under free. Gates will open at 11 a.m. Saturday, and a barbecue rib dinner will be served.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studio. This is the Dave Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about life and money. Sitting in for Dave this hour, I'm Ken Coleman, host of the Ken Coleman Show, and joined in studio by my good pal, Chris Hogan. We sit literally 2 feet away from each other here at the sparkling new Ramsey headquarters.
Yes.
And it's always good when Dave lets us play in the old sandbox. So we're here for the next hour taking your calls about money.
Yep.
We'll take your calls about career. That's what we do on our perspective shows. You're the host of the Chris Hogan Show. And so now we're back together. It's first time for me hosting an hour in the new
That's
studio.
right. Coleman, you are driving the new bus today.
It's a big bus.
It is a massive bus.
I don't know if people realize this, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you just to kind of paint the picture, because we were so excited now to be receiving guests. And people could come in and watch the show and meet Dave, and they don't realize until they get here, Hogan, that in front of our desk right now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can do couple skate if you like. If you like roller skating, it's that big.
Yeah,
it is extraordinary.
It is, but it's so nice.
It's gorgeous.
And we've got some fantastic people out in the lobby.
Yeah.
Got 2 little friends out there.
2 of the
that are
cutest
hanging
girls
out.
you've ever seen.
Absolutely, they are, without a doubt.
Yeah.
2 of the cutest little girls I've ever seen. And America, we're ready for you. Ken and I are hopped up on coffee. We are ready to go. So if you've got a career question, I'm serious. If you've been mulling over a career change, doing something a little bit different, or you're feeling stuck in your career, call. Ken is going to help you out. And if you got a money question, well, I want you to give me a call. I might be able to help you as well.
I think it's possible. So let's do this. Here's
Yes.
the phone number, 888-825-5225. 888-825-5225. And we're going to start it off with Melissa, who is on the line in Canada. Melissa, you're on the Dave Ramsey Show.
Hi, how are you?
Well, we're just having a blast. How can we help?
Well, my husband and I just started listening to Dave, and since the end of July, and since then we've paid off almost $44,000 of debt.
Wow.
Yeah, we have a little bit more to go. So my question today is, we have a van that has $39,000 left of loan payment on it. We also have a rental property that we have a $42,000 mortgage on, and we are wondering if it's a wise decision to sell the rental property, pay off the mortgage on there, and pay off the van loan as well.
Okay, so let me find this out, Melissa. How much of the $44,000 in debt that you all paid off? Tell us, what did you attack? What did you pay off?
We paid off line of credits. We paid off consumer credit cards, and we, for the most part, we cashed out some stocks that my husband had with his work, and took care of it.
Fantastic. So you guys made a decision that debt is not your friend, right?
That's right.
Okay. Now tell me about this van. How much do you owe on this thing?
$39,000.
My goodness, what does it do?
Is it a
little
camper?
bit of everything.
I hope. I mean, that thing, goodness gracious. Okay, how long have you had this thing?
We just bought it about 2 months ago.
What happened?
And ironically, that's how we got Sirius Satellite Radio to listen to Dave.
Oh, now listen, you are not going to sit here and try to justify that
That was
van
a
payment.
good effort.
No, that's
for
terrible.
sure not.
Melissa, that's terrible. Don't do that. How much is the payment on this van?
Per month, we pay $530.
Okay. All right. But seriously, so you look at this, you had a momentary lapse in judgment, went out, got this super expensive van. Now you're thinking about selling a rental property. Tell me, is it a townhome? Is it a house? What is this rental property?
It's a 2-unit home.
Okay.
So there's two rental properties in the home.
Okay. How much is it worth right now, market value?
We estimate about $100,000.
Okay. And how much did you pay for it?
We paid $75,000 about 7 years ago.
Okay, 7 years ago. Now, I'm glad you told me about the number of years ago in which you bought it, because that lets me know you're past the capital gains side of it, because it's at 2 years or more. Okay.
Yes.
And so what kind of rental income is being brought in this rental property?
We bring in $1,275 a month with that. After expenses, we have about $600 in profit.
Okay, so how much of a loan do you have right now on this? It's $42,000?
Yes,
Okay.
$42,000.
All right. And so what's your husband's thought on this?
He says sell it.
Okay. What's your thought?
I don't know. I want to get the right thought.
Right. But what do you feel in your gut right now?
Right now, like, I don't work. I stay home and I raise the kids. So that $600 is like my income.
Okay. All right. Well, let's first of all, let's fix this. You got a pronoun problem, because you all as a family work. You work inside the home. Okay. He's working outside the home. So let's not get that confused. But in looking at this, it's the income is the family's. And so my thought is I would sell this if and only if you guys pinky swear that when you sell this thing and you get the money in the bank, you're going to sit there and the first thing you attack, right, is the rental property, to attack that mortgage and then pay off the van. Like if you guys are going to direct the money there, and then guess what? You take what you were paying in payments, Melissa, and you can resupplement the budget. So there it is right there. Got debt out of your life. You're going to get the title to the van because you own it. And you're moving forward debt-free.
Chris Hogan dropping clarity here on the Dave Ramsey Show. Good stuff. Let's go to Kyle next. He's on the line in Wisconsin. Kyle, how can we help?
Hey, guys. Congratulations on the new building.
Absolutely. Thank you. It's beautiful. Hope to have you here sometime. How can we help?
Hey, so a little bit about myself. I'll try to keep this short and sweet, but I'm currently in baby step 2 with about $4,000 or $5,000 left to pay. Between medical and credit card.
Okay.
I might be looking a little too far ahead here, but I just recently finally found out what I want to do with my life. I've been on quite a journey over the past year. I thought I had my career figured out. Turns out it ended up not working out. So not this September, but next year, I'm going to lineman school. So my income is going to go up about double. I make about $25,000 a year now, and that'll be, like I said, that'll about double once I'm an apprentice, and eventually get my journeyman. So over the past 4 years here, I've been stupid, and I've had about the $4,000 or $5,000 worth of debt that I've just blatantly ignored, and it's been in collections for a long time, which it has
What's your question, Kyle? We got about a minute. We want to get to your question.
So I just want to know, what is the best way to build my credit score so I can buy a house someday?
Okay. Well, here's the thing, my friend. First and foremost, Kyle, I would not be concerned with building your credit. Here's the deal. All right, America, I'm about to tell you the truth.
Oh, boy, watch out.
Here it goes. I'm getting riled up,
Watch
Coleman.
out.
All right, listen, credit score. Here's the bottom line. It's an indicator of this: how much debt you have, how well you've paid the debt, the type of debt, and the likelihood that they're going to give you more. America, listen to me. You don't want to build your credit score. You want to build your wealth. So, Kyle, you stay focused, get yourself out of debt, build up a fully funded emergency fund, and you start investing. Listen, you save up money for a down payment on a home, and you find an underwriter or a bank out there that will do manual underwriting. Don't build your credit score, build your wealth.
Oh, I like that. Sounded like a coach over there, which is appropriate from an All-American. Played football. He's the one, if you're watching on YouTube, that played football. I was the kicker. That'll be no surprise if you're actually paying attention. Hey, don't go anywhere. Ken Coleman, Chris Hogan in for Dave Ramsey. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.
Are you a fan, like I am, of skipping long travel lines? When you fly somewhere, do you want to hang around the airport forever, or do you want to get on the road? Dollar Car Rental has stepped up in a big way and is treating you, Ramsey listeners, like family. They redesigned their entire debit card policy for you. Let's show them how much we appreciate what they do for us, and rent with them during your summer travels. Go to dollar.com/Ramsey and get yourself a free Dollar Express Rewards account. You can then earn points towards free rentals every time you travel. You can also get to skip the rental counter line and go straight to the Dollar Express lot and get on the road faster. These guys are the best. They've got a vehicle to match whatever your style and budget. And if you're ready to book, kick your trip off right. Go to dollar.com/Ramsey and book with Dollar Car Rental.
Hey y'all, this is Christy Wright. As a business coach, wife, and mom, I know that running a business can be overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. That's why I created the Business Boutique Conference. This October 24th through the 26th, I'll be speaking alongside an incredible lineup of other speakers that includes Dave Ramsey, Bob Goff, Jasmine Starr, Jamie Ivey, and more. You will walk away with a plan for your business, actionable steps, and thousands of new friends to help you on your journey. Go to businessboutique.com to get your seats today.
A health savings account is the perfect plan for managing the high costs of health care and works perfectly with a high deductible insurance plan to cover your out-of-pocket expenses. At Ramsey Solutions, and even for my family, we trust the team at Health Equity. Start maximizing this tax-free opportunity today. You can invest up to $7,000 a year for your family. Just check it out. Contact my friends at healthequity.com and let them know I sent you.
Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson. The Southern Prairie YMCA youth sports coordinator was arrested Wednesday on a Union County warrant for lascivious acts with a child. Creston Police Department reported 35-year-old Alan Scott Long of Lennox was arrested at the Y after an investigation found that Long inappropriately touched a girl under the age of 13. A report from the state auditor found an employee of the Department of Public Safety failed to conduct the required federal background checks for nearly 6,000 people who applied for a private investigator security guard license. DPS Commissioner Stephen Bayan says Clerk Joe Sheehan Jr. was fired.
Once the Department of Public Safety discovered the conduct identified in the auditor's report today, we took swift action.
Bayan says they rechecked 5,018 cases where the guard card was issued without a federal background check. An historic military convoy will cross the Mississippi into Clinton today on their way to San Francisco. Convoy Commander Dan McCluskey.
This was the very first motor vehicle convoy that the Army did.
That route follows the Lincoln Highway. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
Building relationships during recovery from mental and substance use disorders can put the strength of family and community behind you. We're all connected, offering encouragement, support, and hope. Join the Voices for Recovery. Strengthen families and communities.
For confidential information on mental and substance use disorders, including prevention and treatment referrals for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. I'm probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth.
Step out of the car, please.
I probably made a mistake.
Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by
Welcome back, America. You're joining the Dave Ramsey Show. I'm Ken Coleman, Ramsey personality and host of the Ken Coleman Show, and joined by fellow Ramsey personality and host of the Chris Hogan Show. Chris Hogan, we're taking your questions this hour. It is a free call, 888-825-5225. We'll focus on money, and we'll focus on career, that job that you're looking for, the money advice that you need to get true financial freedom. That's what we're doing this hour, so come on, join the conversation. 888-825-5225. What?
Ken?
What?
I got a question for you.
What? Oh, okay.
Listen,
What
this
do you
is
got?
from Chad on Facebook, because,
Okay.
we are a social company, social media.
Okay.
You can find at Ramsey Show. You can find him at Ken Coleman, me at Chris Hogan 360. And so Chad had a question for Ken from Facebook. He says, Ken, I have an idea for a new career for myself. It's something that I love to do. But to do it, I would have to be all in. Yet it wouldn't be lucrative for at least a year. What do I do when I found exactly what I want to do, but it won't pay the bills yet?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, there's two answers.
All right.
All right. And you could do both of these, but it is very clear. Number one, you either do it part-time. Okay? You do it part-time or you save up for it. And what I mean by that is you make the savings a priority to then be able to say, all right, if I go all in on this and I'm only going to make, and I'm making these numbers up, $30,000 and I need to make $60,000, then I'm going to save $30,000 because we're not going to be stupid about it because it's always going to be there. The dream is there, but don't go after it too soon. Don't go after it the wrong way because that dream can become a nightmare very quickly. So what I mean by part-time is can I pursue that in some way, maybe for somebody else,
right,
or in a much smaller way to be able to get that experience necessary. Depends on what all in looks like because I don't have the details here, but most of the time, if it won't pay the bills, but you'll want to do it, then we build up for it, and we build up financially so that when we step into that, it's not this splat,
right.
And so if it's $60,000 you got to make. That's why I like starting it on the side. Maybe it's not truly all in. Right. You think it needs to be all in. Does it really? And so can that side business throw off half of what you need to make? And then I save it up through my current income. I don't care how you get there. The point is have a cushion before we go all in on the dream gig.
Well, Ken, and I like what you said about you're going to have to continue to do the primary thing.
That's right.
Because that's what's paying the bills. And if you truly are passionate about this other thing, you're okay. It's not work when you're working on it. For you to put in the work and that time and energy and effort to get it started.
One more thing.
Chad, thank you for that question.
One more thing I'll share for those of you that are in this situation is that if you're struggling in the day job and all you can think about is the dream job, you go, I just don't know how I can make it, Ken. I don't know how I can keep saving up and wait another year or two. Change your perspective on the day job. And that day job is funding your future. Now, if that becomes the mindset, now we're not going to have a bad attitude.
That's right.
In 2 years, we're walking.
Yeah.
As you like to say, deuces.
That's right.
But for the next 2 years, you better have an attitude change to know that if I don't keep paying the bills and feeding the family and doing things I need to do, paying off debt, saving that emergency fund, that's the point.
I like
Change
that.
your attitude to gratitude.
Ooh.
I'm not trying to drop all these little
No, I'm going to tweet
things,
that, though.
But that's
and I will take credit for it. But I like that because what you're saying is that job you're on right now is actually funding your dream.
Yes.
I love that perspective.
I know it's not the dream. I know you don't love it.
That's right.
I'm just telling you to appreciate it.
I like it.
It'll keep you in the game. 888-825-5225 is the number. 888-825-5225. Up next, Megan is on the line in Ohio. Megan, how can we help?
Hi. So my husband and I are on baby step number 2, but I'm struggling with making our budget every month because my husband works a job where he makes 100% commission. So no 2 months are the same.
Okay. And in that line of work, how long has he been doing this 100% commission thing?
Since January.
Okay.
But he had a training period.
Right.
So I would say probably the last 4 months have really been him working.
Very good. So what would you say his average has been over the last 4 months?
It's really ranged.
Okay.
So it's gone anywhere from like $3,000 to $4,500.
Okay. All right. And what does it take for you guys to live month to month? What is the baseline you need?
So our bills right now are about $2,500 a month, including everything.
Okay, fantastic. So looking at this, Megan, and as a former commission person myself, what you do is you build that budget and you look and you understand $2,500 is what we're dealing with. Right. And I can tell you right now, I'm a former financial coach. That 2,500 is probably more like 21 if we just cut down to bare bones. But what that leaves you then is that cushion to throw toward the debt. So in your mind, you guys, and here's the key though, when you do have that month that's 4,500, what I would do is looking at this as you're focused on getting out of debt is, again, you could give yourself the $1,000 emergency fund to have that cushion there, and that's only for emergencies. But when you have that month that's $4,500, you're throwing that extra money toward the debt as well.
Okay.
Okay. And so that's the key. You set the baseline, but I'm going to tell you the ancillary things.